Hi everyone, please subscribe to my channel. Blood Immortal Venerable. See playlist for other chapters and novels. Join now our Telegram channel now and enjoy exclusive early access. t.me/blood_immortal_official. I do not translate the novels. Credits goes to original translator and author of the novel. I only make it as an audiobook so it would be easier to just listen while doing other things. Credits goes to the author of the novel. I convert stories to audiobook for mental health, for multitasking purpose, for accessibility and time saving. Listening to audiobook is also beneficial for people who have disability. It improves our listening skills and improve our English comprehension, vocabulary and other things. So, thank you for listening. Thank you and thank you very much for your support. Chapter 101, Ascending to Grandmaster. Chapter 101, Ascending to Grandmaster. In the strength testing chamber, Yi Tian unleashed a punch at the machine, channeling both his raw physical power and his elemental force. 2 elephants of force. Then, Yi Tian activated his pseudo-mystic level strength talent. Boom! The machine quivered, and the whole room shook with it. A startling number appeared on the display. 60 elephants. It's actually 60 elephants of force, a 30-fold increase. Oh my god! Yi Tian exclaimed. However, he still had one crucial test to perform, to see if he could break the 100-fold limit. Previously, his increase in attack power had plateaued at 100-fold, and if he couldn't break that barrier, then achieving a pseudo-mystic level talent and strength would be meaningless. After all, the limit would still be a 100-fold increase, which wasn't much different. Yi Tian drew his elemental blade and swung it ferociously at the testing machine. 110, Green Wind Slash. Pseudo-mystic level strength boost. One boosted by 6-fold, the other by 30-fold. Combined, they would result in an 180-fold increase in attack power. If he truly could break the limit and achieve an 180-fold increase, then Yi Tian's attack power could reach 360 elephants of force. The outcome would tell it all. Boom! The air burst open, the room quivered violently, and the machine was sent flying, crashing into the wall. Yi Tian saw a blade mark on the machine, about an inch deep. Fortunately, the material of this machine was quite special and featured memory metal. Even if damaged, it would slowly heal itself, otherwise, Yi Tian suspected he'd owe someone money. The machine wasn't fully broken, and a number appeared on it. 360 elephants. Gazing at the number, Yi Tian remained silent for a long while, too exhilarated to speak. I've finally broken the 100-fold limit. It must be because I've built a perfect foundation and shattered some kind of universal law, allowing me to achieve an 180-fold increase, Yi Tian speculated. An 180-fold increase, that was a terrifying boost. With just 2 elephants of force, he could generate an attack power of 360 elephants, surpassing even the 200-elephant limit of a normal Grandmaster. One could only imagine how formidable Yi Tian would be once he advanced to the Grandmaster realm. Green Wind Slash is just a common bronze-level blade technique. My blade intent could soon reach a 20% mastery, allowing me to practice even stronger silver-level blade techniques, thereby amplifying my attack power even more. And what if my talent and strength reaches a true mystic level? Then wouldn't it be? The thought quickened Yi Tian's breath. But acquiring a mystic level special talent was easier said than done. Unless he encountered a beast or a warrior possessing mystic level talents that he could copy. Unfortunately, such beasts or warriors were exceedingly rare and beyond his current reach. If he couldn't copy someone else's mystic level talent, then he would have to find a way to elevate his own talent to the mystic level, a method he had no clue about. As for the Demon Sea base, he shouldn't count on it. It was likely that no one here knew about mystic level talents, perhaps only a select few had even heard of them. Never mind the mystic level talent, I can now aim for the Grandmaster realm. Yi Tian had lingered at the peak of the Great Warrior realm for quite some time. By now, he had established a perfect foundation and saw no reason to stay stagnant any longer. So, Yi Tian rented a cultivation room in the cultivation tower and began cultivating the Grandmaster realm. Qi cultivation room. Seated cross-legged, Yi Tian started to reflect on the details of the purple blood body refining technique. Unlike the Great Warrior realm, the cultivating the Grandmaster realm focused on refining one's meridians. The human body contained 8 extraordinary meridians. In the Grandmaster realm, refining these 8 meridians could each add about 10 units of strength. Once all 8 meridians were refined, one could reach the peak of the Grandmaster realm, and then further refine the body to reach the Grandmaster limit of 100 units of strength. Without high-level elemental Qi body forging techniques, one could only rely on mid-level methods to absorb the spiritual Qi of heaven and earth, and the power of fierce beasts to slowly refine a single meridian, the speed would be inevitably slow. High-level elemental chi body forging techniques had a strict sequence for meridian refining. For example, the first meridian to refine in the purple blood body refining technique was the yin-wei meridian. To successfully break through to the Grandmaster level, one had to open up the yin-wei meridian. Only when the meridian was unblocked could one proceed with refining it. This was an essential step. For those with top-level cultivation talent, opening up the meridian and advancing to the Grandmaster realm was relatively easy. But for those with high-level talents, it was much more challenging. A slight mistake could lead to meridian confusion or obstruction, resulting in failure. Yi Tian possessed Morning Star level cultivation talent, a rank above the transcendent level, so he had no worries about failing the breakthrough. Let's begin. Yi Tian consumed a drop of top-grade fierce beast blood and began practicing the purple blood body refining technique to open up the yin-wei meridian. Boom! A surge of power instantly coursed through the yin-wei meridian, making it unobstructed. Simultaneously, the constraints between the Great Warrior and Grandmaster realms disappeared, and an influx of elemental chi from heaven and earth surged into Yi Tian's body, boosting his strength, speed, and defenses, among other things. Yi Tian was undergoing a rapid transformation. This process lasted for 3 days, and at the end of it, Yi Tian had become a Grandmaster-level warrior. Subsequently, Yi Tian tested his physical strength. 1.3 elephants of strength. This was the strength level immediately after breaking into the Grandmaster realm, and Yi Tian also calculated the speed of his Morning Star level cultivation. In normal circumstances, a day's cultivation could add about 100,000 pounds of force. In a month, that would be an increase of approximately 3 million pounds or 3 units of strength, accumulating to 36 units in a year. The Grandmaster limit was 100 units of strength. According to his calculations, he could reach that limit in at most 3 years. Based on Yi Tian's research, most warriors with transcendent level cultivation talent took at least 10 years to reach the Grandmaster limit, while top-level talents needed at least 30 years. My Morning Star level talent should be about 5 times faster than transcendent level talents. After all, I only need 3 years to reach the Grandmaster limit under normal conditions. If I occasionally train in the elemental chi cultivation room, I might even shorten that time to 2 years. That's just a fraction of the time needed by those with transcendent level talents. The speed is equivalent to 5 times theirs, Yi Tian calculated. If this data were made public, it would certainly create a massive uproar. Reaching the Grandmaster limit in 2 years, and with Yi Tian's Morning Star level cultivation talent, progressing to the King level would be a breeze. This meant that in 2 or 3 years, Yi Tian would become a King level existence, the pinnacle within the Demon Sea base. After becoming a Grandmaster, what Yi Tian was most concerned about was his lifespan. A typical Grandmaster had a lifespan of 200 years. Yet, Yi Tian sensed through his blood-devouring talent that his vitality was 50% stronger than other Grandmasters. Instead of a 200-year lifespan, he estimated his to be around 300 years. Why did he have a 300-year lifespan? Yi Tian speculated it was due to his perfect foundation, which provided more benefits upon becoming a Grandmaster. Having wasted 2 months of duplication opportunities, Yi Tian, now a Grandmaster, prepared to use his 2 duplication chances. And this time, his target was a rather special talent. Chapter 102, High-Tier Array Talent. Array Talent. This was a magical talent. Many of the arrays in the Demon Sea base were set up by array masters. While their combat abilities might not be particularly strong, their methods of array setup were incredibly diverse. Killing arrays, defense arrays, illusion arrays, soundproofing arrays, energy channels, chi gathering arrays, and so on. Yi Tian wanted to replicate array talent. His aim was not to master arrays, but to create an chi cultivation chamber for himself, obviating the need for a cultivation tower. Array masters weren't hard to find, they were vital figures within the Demon Sea base. Many major powers had array masters stationed within them. The Martial Pavilion headquarters even housed a high-ranking array master. Previously, Yi Tian had reviewed the talent profile of an array master but had not chosen to replicate it as array talent was not his target then. That day, Yi Tian returned to the Martial Pavilion headquarters again. Whoosh! His talent copying ability enveloped the entire pavilion, and he finally located that same array master again. Human. Ni Chi. Cultivation talent. Top grade. Array talent. High tier. Copy. Silently, Yi Tian copied the man's array talent. He then discovered another high-tier array talent. My array talent is only high-tier. If I copy 2 more high-tier array talents, I can advance to top-grade array talent. Yi Tian's eyes lit up in delight. So, he copied this high-tier array talent as well, recognizing that such talents were rare opportunities not to be missed. Having copied 2 talents, Yi Tian had completed his mission. However, he didn't leave immediately. He wanted to purchase a basic array inscription manual and a chi-gathering array design diagram. To build a cultivation chamber, a chi-gathering array must be laid to gather the elemental chi of heaven and earth. The chi-gathering array design diagram was indispensable, and he also needed to learn the basics of array inscriptions. After all, even if Yi Tian copied array talent, without inscribing the arrays, he couldn't set them up. Do you have basic array inscription manuals and chi-gathering array design diagrams here? Yi Tian approached a counter to inquire. The service attendant smiled. Respected master, we do have basic array inscription manuals, but we don't have chi-gathering array design diagrams. Those can only be purchased from the Array Masters Association. Array Masters Association. Yi Tian understood. High-level confidential items like chi-gathering array design diagrams were generally not for sale and were controlled by the Array Masters Association. The Array Masters Association was an organization formed by Array Masters within the Demon Sea base. It seems I must first become an Array Master and then join the Array Masters Association to get the chi-gathering array design diagram, Yi Tian mused. Joining the Array Masters Association was not an issue for him. He knew it was a loose organization, not binding its members, who were affiliated with various powers or were freelancers. He had no objections to joining such a casual organization. Then please give me a basic array inscription manual, Yi Tian spoke up. The attendant nodded. All right, a basic array inscription manual will cost 50 million. After paying, the service attendant quickly brought over a basic array inscription manual and handed it to Yi Tian. He then returned home to study the basic array patterns. Opening the basic array inscription manual, it was filled with numerous array inscriptions that looked like mysterious characters. At first glance, it was hard to discern their function. So, Yi Tian activated his high-tier array talent. Boom! The world before him transformed. Each array inscription became an illumination, flying out of the manual. This was the world of arrays. Amazing. Power. Control. Illusion. Yi Tian stared at the various runes and quickly understood the meanings of these basic symbols, knowing their functions. No wonder only those with a natural talent for array formations can become array masters. If you don't have this talent, you can't even understand the runes, let alone become an array master, Yi Tian exclaimed, his face lighting up in sudden realization. Shortly thereafter, he began to study how to engrave array formations. To do so, he needed engraving pens, beast blood, and paper or materials infused with energy. To prepare these items, Yi Tian spent tens of millions. It was clear that being an array master was a costly profession. Entering this field was difficult without enough money, unless one chose to join a powerful organization, which would then nurture the individual to become an array master. But doing so would undoubtedly sacrifice one's freedom. The second type of array master slowly accumulated wealth to study array knowledge. Once they successfully entered the field, making money became easier. Yi Tian was not concerned about money, he purchased large quantities of materials and practiced engraving runes fervently. Coupled with his high-level array talents, his progress was exponentially faster than that of a regular array master. On the first day, he mastered 10 runes, on the second day, he mastered 8, and on the third, 7. As he progressed, the runes he needed to master became increasingly complex, requiring more time. However, after half a month, Yi Tian had already mastered 50 runes. With just 20 runes, one could be considered a junior array master. Mastering 50 runes undoubtedly made Yi Tian a true array master. He only needed to draw an array design, and he could then set up an array. It's time to go to the Array Masters Association, Yi Tian announced, leaving his home to head toward the Array Masters Association. Before long, a magnificent building appeared before him. Array Masters Association. The 5 ancient Chinese characters were engraved on the placard of the Array Masters Association. Beautiful writing, Yi Tian exclaimed. Actually, these were no longer just characters but a combination of various runes, ingeniously forming the words, Array Masters Association. If one activated their array talents, they would see another image, the 5 words composed of countless intricate runes. However, most people lack the talent for array formations, so they couldn't perceive the intricacies of these 5 characters. As Yi Tian entered the Array Masters Association, a young girl approached him. Master, may I assist you with anything? The girl inquired, bowing slightly. Clearly, she was a staff member of the Array Masters Association. Yi Tian glanced at her and realized that she didn't possess any array talent, otherwise, she wouldn't be working here as regular staff. Quickly, Yi Tian used his cloning talent to survey the area. There were only about 20 or so array masters in the association, most with either beginner or intermediate level talents for array formations. This matched his expectations. True array grandmasters would not be staying in the Array Masters Association, they either had their own dwellings or were sponsored by large organizations. That's why he didn't come here first to clone array talents, instead, he went to the Martial Hall to clone high-level array talents. I want to participate in the Array Master examination, Yi Tian declared his intention. Ah, Master, you have an array talent as well? The girl asked, surprised. Yes, Yi Tian nodded. Very well, let me handle the examination procedures for you, the girl said, leading Yi Tian to complete the necessary formalities and pay the exam fee. Soon after, a notice arrived in Yi Tian's hands. The examination will commence in 3 days. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. Until the end of November, for each person that joins, I'll post an extra chapter. Chapter 103, Formation Master Examination. Chapter 103, Formation Master Examination. 3 days later, Yi Tian arrived once again at the Formation Master Association and was promptly led to the Grand Hall on the 2nd floor of the association. 10 people. Yi Tian surveyed the Grand Hall and saw 8 young people, 1 middle-aged man, and 1 old man. Including himself, there were 11 people. After Yi Tian reached this place, the staff member who had led the way left. Esteemed Grand Master, are you the examiner? A young warrior walked over and nervously inquired. No, I'm also here to participate in the Formation Master examination. Yi Tian responded indifferently. There was a stir. The looks the other examinees gave him varied, some were reverent, while others were disdainful. To some examinees, the fact that Yi Tian could attain the rank of Grand Master indicated he had extraordinary talent. However, participating in a Formation Master examination at this time perhaps suggested that he was not very talented in the field of formation mastery. Otherwise, why would he not have passed the examination earlier? Grand Masters indeed inspired awe, but they held no particular superiority over Formation Masters. Even a junior Formation Master could command enough respect to deter a Grand Master from offending them. This was because Formation Masters were highly united and, although fewer in number, were crucial to the construction of the large base in Demon Sea Base. So, no one dared to offend the community of Formation Masters. For this reason, within the Formation Master community, one would address others based on their Formation Master rank. Even if someone was only a low-level Formation Master, they would be more distinguished than a Grand Martial Warrior but a junior Formation Master. It seems to have been underestimated. Yi Tian thought to himself. After all, it wasn't easy to gauge the age of a Grand Master level warrior. Some Grand Masters might be in their late teens but appeared no different from people of that age. With a lifespan extending up to 200 years, as long as one became a Grand Master at 17 or 18, there would be no noticeable change in their appearance for many years to come. No one assumed Yi Tian was only 17 or 18 years old, they thought he must have reached his late teens by now. Formation Master talents were usually identified as early as 10 years old. If one had not become a Formation Master by the late teens, it would only prove that their talent for being a Formation Master was subpar, either weak or inferior. Yi Tian keenly sensed the disdain directed at him by several people, who themselves had basic Formation Master talents and were assuredly destined to become junior Formation Masters. Interesting, a few elite warriors and Grand Martial Warriors dare to look down on me, a Grand Master. Yi Tian sneered. In an invisible manner, Yi Tian released a strand of his aura, suppressing those young people. Boom! Overwhelmed by the pressure, several young people took a step back, their faces turning slightly pale. The individuals who had suffered greatly didn't dare to look at Yi Tian anymore. They finally realized their own recklessness. How could they, who were not even junior Formation Masters, dare to disrespect a Grand Master? If it weren't for the fact that fighting was prohibited in the large base in Demon Sea Base, these individuals would likely have turned into corpses upon encountering other Grand Masters. Grand Master, this old man has taken part in many examinations and has never seen you before. Is this your first time participating in an examination? The sole old examinee walked over and respectfully asked. Yes, it is indeed my first time participating in an examination. Yi Tian nodded. Immediately afterward, he scrutinized the old man. According to what he saw from his talent copying ability, the old man was named Li Zhang and had a weak Formation Master talent. With such a meager talent, he probably didn't even have a chance of becoming a formation master, did he? However, it was not entirely accurate to say so. The profession of formation master was somewhat unique. As long as one had some level of formation master talent and took some special measures, there was a slim chance of advancing to junior formation master. However, the difficulty was tremendous, and the success rate was less than 1%. Li Zhang was already so old, yet he was still participating in the formation master examination. Clearly, he had indomitable willpower. Master, are you familiar with the examination? Li Zhang asked Yi Tian. I'm not. Yi Tian shook his head. Li Zhang elaborated, let me explain it to you, master. The examination for an array master is divided into 3 stages. The first stage involves engraving array patterns. You need to engrave at least 20 to pass. Anyone who comes for the examination can get through this part. The second stage is to set up a simple array. This is where it becomes difficult, as the complexity of engraving an array pattern and setting up an array are entirely different. Most people fail at this second stage. As for the third stage, it is neither easy nor difficult. It involves identifying loopholes in an array. The more you find, the higher your score. You need to find at least 1 to pass. I myself have failed the third stage 100 times. Failed 100 times? Yi Tian was shocked. Was the third stage really that hard? Given Li Zhang's modest talent, he was still able to engrave 20 array patterns and set up a simple array. The effort that must have taken was not something just anyone could achieve. Yet, this determined Li Zhang had failed the third stage 100 times. Although Li Zhang hadn't succeeded in the exam, he was still an incredibly capable apprentice array master. He could set up the most basic arrays and make money from it, just without the prestige of being a junior array master. Soon after, a man in his 30s who was a mid-level array master arrived. I'm Chen Yao, a mid-level array master from the Array Masters Association. I am here to oversee your examination today. The first stage of the examination begins now. Distribute the engraving pens, monster blood, and elemental papers to them, said Chen Yao. Members of the Array Masters Association handed out the engraving pens, monster blood, and elemental papers. The examination had begun. Shush, shush, shush. Yi Tian picked up the engraving pen and effortlessly etched 20 characters, then stopped. Array Master Talent. Yi Tian silently activated his own Array Master Talent. He looked at the elemental papers that he had worked on and saw the array patterns emitting light, leaving the paper and vividly appearing one by one. Each pattern's meaning was very clear. This confirmed that these array patterns were engraved accurately and were qualified. If they were not, then activating his Array Master Talent would not result in any change or it might show flaws. Soon, the other participants also finished their engravings. Examiner Chen Yao glanced around and nodded, good, everyone passed. Now, on to the second stage. Bring the array design charts. A girl brought over 10 design charts and handed them to Chen Yao. This is a basic soundproofing array that only involves the basic 20 array patterns. Each of you take one and review it. Remember, you cannot use this design for profit, or you know what will happen, the Array Masters Association will never employ you, Chen Yao sternly warned. Soon, the design charts were distributed to the participants. Yi Tian carefully started to read the soundproofing array design. Huh, so it's like this, Yi Tian was surprised. The design was similar to building a house. The array patterns laid the foundation, creating a 3-dimensional space, forming a perfect looping array space. This array space, when infused with elemental power, became an array. This soundproofing array was not complicated, Yi Tian understood it at a glance. Just then, a young man suddenly spoke up, Master, how about we compete to see who can set up this soundproofing array first? Yi Tian looked over and realized that the person provoking him was one of the individuals he had intimidated earlier. Sure, how about we raise the stakes? Yi Tian grinned mischievously. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. Until the end of November, for each person that joins, I'll post an extra chapter. Chapter 104, 7 Flaws. Chapter 104, 7 Flaws. A wager. Alright, the young man pondered for a moment before speaking, betting money is too uninteresting. How about we bet on points instead? Once you become a junior array master, you can earn 100 points as a reward from the Array Masters Association. These points can't be bought with money, you can only earn them by taking on tasks from the association. Therefore, points are extremely valuable. I am quite confident in becoming an array master, although I'm not sure about you. Shall we settle on this wager? Agreed. Yi Tian consented. He wasn't short on money, but he did lack points. Although he wasn't sure how many points he needed for the chi-gathering array design, it was undoubtedly good to earn more points. Why wouldn't he agree if this young man was willing to give him points? Name: Chen Dong. Cultivation talent: high level. Array talent: low level. Looking at the talent information of the young man, Chen Dong, Yi Tian sneered internally, a mere low-level array master. Even if you have studied array patterns for a longer time, the gap between high-level and low-level array talents is insurmountable with just time alone. The second round of the examination began. One by one, array plate embryos were brought over by the staff, one for each person. Array plate embryos were made of special materials capable of holding array patterns, whereas energy paper could only hold array marks. If one were to connect the array marks into an array, the energy paper would inevitably shatter, unable to withstand the power of the array. Therefore, to lay out an array, one must use an array plate embryo. Begin. As the voice of examiner Chen Yao fell, the examinees began to set up their arrays. Yi Tian picked up an inscription pen, dipped it in a bit of beast blood, and began to inscribe. With the support of his high-level array talent, he inscribed the first array mark. Then, building on that first array mark, he continued to inscribe one mark after another. Guided by his high-level array talent, he was constructing a soundproofing array in a three-dimensional space. Draw a stroke here, and another here. Thanks to the amplification of his high-level array talent, Yi Tian had a clear grasp of how to inscribe the array, a level of detail control that low-level array talents couldn't match. Soon enough, Yi Tian had inscribed 20 array marks, forming an array space. Just one final step left, Yi Tian thought to himself. Immediately after, he channeled some energy into the three-dimensional array space. Boom! The array plate burst into brilliance, forming a simple array. A soundproofing array had been successfully set up. Examiner Chen Yao looked at Yi Tian with surprise and admiration, then nodded, signaling Yi Tian to sit to the side and practice, waiting for the examination of the others to finish. Yi Tian glanced over at Chen Dong and saw that Chen Dong was very anxious at this moment because he realized Yi Tian had already completed his array while he had only inscribed 12 array marks. I've lost. I'm doomed. I'm going to lose 100 points, Chen Dong muttered in despair. His mind was strongly shaken, his hand trembled, and an array mark was messed up. Crash! The array plate was ruined, the setup failed. One failure was not critical, the examination allowed for one mistake, but if he failed again, he would lose his qualification for the exam. A staff member brought over a second array plate embryo. Chen Dong knew this was his last chance. If he failed again, he would have to come back next time, and the one-time registration fee was not a small amount either. Moreover, he absolutely couldn't fail the exam, otherwise, he might be ridiculed when he returned. Losing is losing, let's first pass the exam. Chen Dong steadied his emotions and started to seriously set up the soundproofing array. Chen Dong steadied his emotions and began to seriously set up the soundproofing array. This time, Chen Dong performed with remarkable stability, completing the soundproofing array in no time. Even though he had failed once, he wasn't the last one to finish. That dubious honor went to old man Li Zhang. Li Zhang's talent in array formation was abysmal, which slowed down his progress considerably. He dared not make a single mistake because his mediocre talents offered no advantages in setting up the array. A small mistake would mean failure. Very good, everyone has passed the second round. There are no freeloaders here. Let's move on to the third round. Chen Yao nodded in satisfaction. The third round was the most crucial, it required finding the flaws in an array. Chen Yao produced an array disk genuinely engraved with array patterns. Then he activated it, instantly enveloping the entire hall in an array. At that moment, everyone was enclosed within the array. Basic tier array. Yi Tian sensed the array's level. It was not too strong and was a trapping array. Although he could easily break such an array, today's examination was not about breaking it but about finding its flaws. This is the Shaoqing Yuan trapping array. Due to a mistake during its construction, it does have several flaws. I can promise you all, find one flaw and you can become a junior array master. For each additional flaw found, you'll get 100 extra points. Conversely, if you identify a wrong flaw, you'll lose 100 points. Don't get too ambitious. If you find one right and one wrong, you'll end up with 0 points and fail the examination. The examination time is half an hour, Chen Yao explained. Upon hearing this, Yi Tian was thrilled. Finding more flaws would earn him 100 extra points each, and he was short on points. As Chen Yao announced the start, Yi Tian immediately activated his high-tier array talent. The entire array transformed into a field of array patterns in Etienne's view, consisting of roughly 50 array markings. He scrutinized each one, searching for flaws. This array marking conflicts with this one. It's wrong, take note. This one is also wrong, take note. This should have had a different array marking engraved. It's wrong, the two array markings look similar but have slight differences. This mistake reduces the array's power by at least 10%, take note. Half an hour passed, and the examination ended. freewebnovel.com. Etienne was beaming. He had found 7 flaws and was quite confident he had made no mistakes. On the other side, old man Li Zhang looked utterly disheartened. He hadn't found a single flaw. Etienne noticed Li Zhang's expression and knew the old man had failed. But he understood why. Simply put, it was a matter of talent. Inferior talents couldn't even see the entire array space, let alone identify the markings and their flaws. Thus, the third round was essentially a talent screening, a fact that old man Li Zhang did not understand. No one had bothered to enlighten him. No matter how many times the exam might be taken, Li Zhang would never pass. Talent ruled the age, and without the talent for being an array master, all of Li Zhang's efforts would be futile unless he could find an item that improved his array mastery talent. Write down the flaws on paper and hand them to me one by one. Chen Yao deactivated the array and instructed. One by one, Etienne and the others wrote down the flaws they had discovered. Old man Li Zhang also jotted down what he thought were flaws, essentially guessing in the dark. After all, who knew? He might get lucky, but the odds were overwhelmingly against him. Once everyone had handed in their papers, Chen Yao, the intermediate array master, began to announce, there are a total of 7 people who passed the exam: Etienne, Chen Dong, Li Dehai. .. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. Until the end of November, for each person that joins, I'll post an extra chapter. Chapter 105, The Shanghai Tower Mission. Chapter 105, The Shanghai Tower Mission. 3 people had failed the assessment. Old man Li Zhang was one of them, another was a middle-aged man whose talent was only mediocre, he had failed as well. The third was a young man who, despite possessing basic array talent, failed due to his shaky foundational grasp. Next, I will announce the number of loopholes each of you found. Chen Yao declared. Li Dehai, you found 1 loophole. Zhang Kiki, you found 2 loopholes. Chen Dong, you found 4 loopholes. At that moment, Chen Dong was so excited he could barely contain himself. He shot a provocative glance at Etienne. He was no longer afraid of offending Etienne. As far as he was concerned, he had become a basic array master and a member of the Array Master Association. What could a grandmaster like Etienne do to him, especially when he had no intention of leaving the Demon Sea base? He was fearless. Etienne, you found 7 loopholes and are the only one who found all of them. Chen Yao walked over to Etienne and said, your talent must be high level. This flawed small Azure Cloud array was set up by a high-ranking master, and only someone with high-level array talent can find all the loopholes at the basic array master level. High-level array talent? Chen Dong looked at Etienne incredulously, his face filled with despair and jealousy. He himself only had basic array talent, and although it was better than average, it couldn't compare with high-level array talent. The two were in entirely different leagues. That's correct, Etienne admitted without argument. Etienne, if you're willing to test your array talent, the Array Master Association will award you an extra 1,000 points once your talent level is confirmed. Would you like to take the test? Chen Yao inquired. Testing talent was a confidential matter, and the loosely organized Array Master Association didn't compel anyone to disclose their array talent level, it was all voluntary. The association wouldn't force any array master. If Etienne chose not to test, they wouldn't compel him, but they would also not offer any additional rewards. Master Chen Yao, may I ask how many points are required for the Qi-gathering array design diagram? Etienne suddenly asked. For a design that can gather Qi threefold, it requires 500 points, fivefold requires 1,000 points, and sixfold needs 2,000 points, Chen Yao explained. But he was a bit puzzled. Why was Etienne suddenly asking about this? 2,000 points for a sixfold Qi-gathering array diagram. Etienne frowned slightly. Gathering energy sixfold didn't necessarily mean one could cultivate 6 times faster. If that were the case, cultivation would be too easy. The amplification depended not only on the concentration of energy but also on one's own talent for cultivation. According to Etienne's calculations, if he cultivated in a six-fold energy environment, given his morning star level cultivation talent, his cultivation speed should increase by threefold. For someone at the transcendent level, doubling the speed would be good, and those with top-level talent could at most increase their speed by 1.5 times. I must buy that six-fold chi-gathering array design. If I take the talent test, I can get 1000 points. Plus, the 700 points from this assessment and the 100 points won from Chen Dong, I would have a total of 1800 points. I would then be only 200 points short of 2000, Yi Tian calculated. Immediately, he nodded, all right, I'm willing to take the test. Excellent, I'll get the array talent testing orb right away, Chen Yao said excitedly. Having successfully recruited an array master with high-level array talent, once confirmed, would mean he could earn extra points for this assessment task. That's why he was so eager. Master Chen Yao, the testing orb won't reveal other talents, will it? Yi Tian asked in advance, lest his hidden talents be exposed. No, it won't, Chen Yao assured him immediately. The Array Master Association wouldn't do something like prying into others' private talents. Our testing orb can only evaluate array talents. Then I'm relieved, Yi Tian said. Soon after, Chen Yao brought over a testing orb to measure Yi Tian's array talents. The test ended quickly. Indeed, you have a high-tier array talent. Congratulations, you've earned an extra 1000 points from the Array Master Association. Chen Yao said, somewhat envious. After all, even for him, earning 1000 points at once was a difficult task. Who wouldn't envy Yi Tian for so easily achieving 1000 points? But there was no helping it, those with great talent received such treatment. Shortly thereafter, Chen Yao distributed Array Master badges and point cards to the 7 examiners. Points were stored on the point cards, which could only be used by the individual it was tied to, rendering it useless to anyone else. Chen Dong, 100 points. Yi Tian demanded. Not daring to offend Yi Tian, Chen Dong relented. If Yi Tian had merely been a Grandmaster, Chen Dong wouldn't have felt pressured, but Yi Tian was a high-tier Array Master, destined to climb high within the Array Master Association. Grandmaster Yi Tian, I apologize, I was wrong. I'll give you the 100 points right away. Chen Dong capitulated, unashamed. After all, who would dare not yield before a Grandmaster with high-tier array talents? Turn it over, Yi Tian said indifferently. Once Chen Dong transferred the 100 points, Yi Tian completely disregarded him. Spending time on such an inconsequential person would be a waste. Array Master Association, First Floor Task Hall. Yi Tian was looking at tasks, seeking to quickly earn the 200 points. Tasks flashed by at high speed. Yi Tian examined each, but most were not suitable for him, either requiring too much time or too high a skill level. Suddenly, a task caught Yi Tian's eye. Shanghai Tower task. Accept the task to gain entry into the Shanghai Tower. Can be accepted once a year. Requirements: Grandmaster, high-tier array talent, and at least beginner-level array skill. Missing any one disqualifies. Points rewarded depend on completion. Stunned by the task, Yi Tian wondered if it had been prepared specifically for him, but the date it was posted indicated otherwise. The task had been hanging there for decades. I'd like to take the Shanghai Tower task, Yi Tian announced at the counter. Please hand over your ID card. The staff member stood up, very polite. Anyone qualified to accept the Shanghai Tower task would have to be an individual with high-tier array talents. Such a person was undoubtedly a high-level array master. Even a king would be polite to a high-level array master. Yi Tian handed over his ID card. The staff member quickly confirmed his qualifications. After accepting the task, Yi Tian received some information about the Shanghai Tower. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. Until the end of November, for each person that joins, I'll post an extra chapter. Chapter 106, Achieving the Goal Through Integration. Yi Tian opened the information. All related contents about the Shanghai Tower were displayed one by one. The Shanghai Tower was established by King Shang, who was once a renowned figure in the Demon Sea base. Not only was he a king-level powerhouse, but he was also a top-tier array master. He was one of the few with the highest attainments in array skills in the Demon Sea base and was also one of the contributors in the construction of the base's defensive array. Unfortunately, due to an accident, King Shang returned to the Demon Sea base with serious injuries. He hastily constructed the array tower and left behind his legacy. freewebnovel.com. Anyone with high-tier array talents was eligible to challenge the Shanghai Tower. Clearing each floor would reward one with an array design diagram. Once someone cleared the 9th floor, they could become the successor of King Shang. However, no one had become his successor to date. The reason was unknown. Many who had high-tier array talents had given up after reaching the 8th floor. What couldn't be ignored was that the array tower offered numerous array diagrams and benefits. But it was also fraught with dangers, mainly consisting of death traps. Therefore, only Grandmasters were allowed to take on this mission, otherwise, ordinary warriors might easily perish within the Shangarei Tower. Having understood the situation of the Shangarei Tower, Yi Tian proceeded to visit it. This is the place. Yi Tian arrived in an old town area, one of the earliest constructed neighborhoods, which was now located on the periphery of the Demon Sea base. Although it had few residents, it was tranquil, making it a chosen place for many retired warriors to reside. The Shangarei Tower was situated in this area and was protected by the Array Master Association. They had hired a group of soldiers to guard it day and night, prohibiting ordinary people from approaching. Yi Tian presented his mission credentials and identification card and successfully entered the Shangarei Tower. Inside the tower, Yi Tian walked into the first array. Boom! The world changed dramatically, as countless flames surged out, making Yi Tian feel as though he was in a world of fire. A fire-based offensive array. Yi Tian was intrigued. The attack power of these flames was very strong, ordinary warriors would find it hard to survive. Only a few specialized warriors could manage to save themselves. Yi Tian tested whether he could break the array with his strong power. Quasi-mystic level strength talent, Green Wind Slash. Yi Tian's strongest attack descended upon the array, but it was quickly deflected by an unknown force. As expected, there's no easy way out. Unless my strength reaches the king level, any attack will be deflected by an unknown force, Yi Tian mused, frowning. To break the array, one needed to rely on array talents. Thus, Yi Tian activated his high-tier array talents. In an instant, the realm of fire transformed into an array space, and a large number of array marks appeared before Yi Tian. He saw that these array marks were interconnected, forming bursts of fire that attacked him. Upon understanding the composition of the fire array, Yi Tian gradually developed a strategy. Destroy the array nodes. After some attempts, with the assistance of his high-tier array talents, Yi Tian quickly located an array node, the connection point between array marks. Break. Focusing his energy into his finger, Yi Tian shattered the node. Yi Tian focused his energy into a single finger and struck down one of the nodes. Forced back, the fire array began to destabilize. Soon after, Yi Tian identified one node after another, shattering them one by one. When more than 10 nodes had been broken, the array imploded with a bang, fragmenting into pieces. The first layer of the array was broken. Whoa! A scroll appeared in Yi Tian's hand out of thin air. Basic Defensive Array Blueprint. Rain Curtain. Yi Tian pocketed the elementary array blueprint and immediately started on the second layer. The second layer was more complex, an ice array. It took Yi Tian several hours to break the array. Fortunately, his strength was significant, he was able to endure in the array space for a long time. Had an average Grandmaster come, they would not have been able to withstand the attack from the ice array before breaking it. The third layer of the array was the Green Wood Array, a wood element offensive array. It took Yi Tian nearly a whole day to break the array. His elemental energy was almost exhausted, and he was also physically worn out. Reluctantly, Yi Tian chose to abandon continuing the assessment. I've broken through 3 layers, obtained 1 basic defensive array blueprint, Rain Curtain, 1 basic fire array blueprint, Fire Dragon Ascending Sky, and 1 stealth array blueprint, Concealment. That's 3 blueprints in total, a decent haul. I just don't know how many points I can get. Carrying the 3 blueprints, Yi Tian left the Shangarei Tower. After resting for one night, Yi Tian visited the Array Master Association the next day. I'm here to claim my mission. Yi Tian arrived at the mission office to claim the Shangarei Tower mission. The staff took Yi Tian's identification card, checked it, and then confirmed, "We received word from the Shangarei Tower that you did indeed complete the mission and even broke through the 3rd layer. You're rewarded 900 points, 100 points for the first layer, 200 for the second, and 400 for the third. Reminder, Yi Tian, you can take on this mission again next time, but if you don't break through the 4th layer, there won't be any reward." Understood. Yi Tian nodded. The staff credited Yi Tian with 900 points and asked, "Yi Tian, you must have obtained 3 array blueprints from the Shangarei Tower, right? If you have blueprints that our Array Master Association doesn't possess, you can exchange them for certain points. Would you like to do that?" Sure. Yi Tian took out the 3 blueprints. Unfortunately, only the stealth array blueprint, concealment was something the Array Master Association didn't have. The other two blueprints they already had in their collection and couldn't be exchanged. However, just with that one blueprint, Yi Tian earned 500 points, significantly boosting his point total. After doing some calculations, Yi Tian found that he now had 3,300 points, enough to purchase a Qi Gathering Array blueprint with a 6-fold amplification. Although the blueprints were not expensive, the Array Master Association had plenty. This specific one was valuable because they didn't have it yet. Normally, an elementary array blueprint would only cost dozens of points. However, the Qi Gathering Array blueprint, although a mid-level array, was priced as expensively as high-level arrays, costing 2,000 points. Without any hesitation, Yi Tian bought a Qi Gathering Array blueprint capable of 6-fold elemental amplification, and he also spent 1,000 points to buy some high-level array discs. After all, unused points were a waste. Once the Qi Gathering Array blueprint and array discs were purchased, almost everything was ready. Next, he needed to study the array patterns to attain the proficiency necessary for setting up the Qi Gathering Array. Once that was done, he could proceed to establish the array. Once the Qi Gathering Array was completed, Yi Tian would be able to step into the ultimate realm of Grandmasters within a short period. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 107, Flying and Blood Bone Talent. At home. Yi Tian closely examined the design diagram of the Qi Gathering Array. Only then did he realize that to set up a Qi Gathering Array, one not only needed to master 100 array glyphs, but also required spirit stones to activate the Qi Gathering Array. The most basic Qi Gathering Arrays don't need spirit stones, but the energy they slowly absorb is hardly more than what's available in the outside world. Only with the help of spirit stones in the intermediate Qi Gathering Arrays can one quickly condense the natural essence. No wonder the villa doesn't have this kind of intermediate Qi Gathering Array, it requires spirit stones. Ordinary people can't get hold of spirit stones. Even if they have a Qi Gathering Array, they can't activate it. Yi Tian had an epiphany and subsequently burst into delighted laughter. Spirit stones were something he had in abundance. In the secret realm, he had dug up over 2,000 spirit stones. Each of these stones could be used for a month, so 2,000 spirit stones would last him many years. Indeed, Yi Tian was not lacking in spirit stones. My next goal is to practice purple blood body refining technique, understand the Tao, and comprehend the array glyphs. Though the practice routine was quite complex, Yi Tian took great pleasure in it. In a flash, half a month had passed. During this time, Yi Tian's cultivation hadn't made significant progress primarily because he had devoted less time to the purple blood body refining technique. However, his physical strength had reached the power of 2 elephants, and his understanding of the Tao had finally increased to 22%, enabling him to practice silver-level techniques. Since he didn't have any silver-level techniques at the moment, he put that plan aside for now. As for the array glyphs, Yi Tian had already engraved 71 of them, reaching the level of a junior array master. All he needed was to engrave 80 array glyphs and master some intermediate arrays to become an intermediate array master. But Yi Tian felt that if he wanted to engrave 100 array glyphs, he would need at least another 2 to 3 months, and he couldn't wait that long. I must duplicate more high-tier array talents. freewebnovel.com. Yi Tian resolved. Top-tier array talents were hard to come by, but high-level array talents weren't. Besides, his talent duplication cooldown had ended, giving him 2 more duplication opportunities. This time, he planned to duplicate 2 high-level array talents and combine them to elevate his own array talent to the top tier. Once he had top-tier array talents, he could complete the engraving of 100 array glyphs and set up the Qi Gathering Array within a short time. Eventually, that day came. Yi Tian visited various bases of major forces and, after some investigation, found traces of 2 high-level array masters in the Hellion family. He duplicated their high-level array talents. Afterward, Yi Tian returned home and fused the 2 high-level array talents. Half an hour passed. A slightly weary Yi Tian looked at the talent level displayed on his retinal screen with a smile on his face. With top-tier array talents, I should be able to engrave 100 array glyphs within a month. Then, I can set up the Qi Gathering Array and make all this time and effort worthwhile, Yi Tian mused. He continued to ponder on the array glyphs, striving to engrave 100 of them as soon as possible. To achieve this goal quickly, Yi Tian even reduced the time he spent on practicing the purple blood body refining technique and temporarily put his understanding of the Tao aside. Finally, 26 days later, with the help of his top-tier array talents, Yi Tian successfully engraved 100 array glyphs. Everything was ready except for the opportune moment. Yi Tian prepared to take out a high-grade array disk embryo and began to engrave the glyphs for an intermediate qi-gathering array. Because he barely met the qualifications for creating a qi-gathering array, and considering the complexity of an intermediate qi-gathering array, even with the amplification effects of his top-tier array talents, Yi Tian couldn't guarantee a 100% success rate. Begin. The first array glyph was successfully engraved, followed by the second, the third, the fourth. During the engraving of the 42nd array glyph, a slight error occurred. The engraving failed, and the array disk embryo was ruined. He took out a new array plate embryo and continued his work. After wasting 3 more, Yi Tian finally succeeded on his 4th attempt. He embedded the completed array plate into the floor of his cultivation room and affixed a spiritual stone on it, thereby activating the qi-gathering array. Boom! The spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged into the room, gradually thickening the atmosphere within the array's space. About half an hour passed, and the concentration of spiritual energy in the cultivation room had reached levels more than 10 times higher than the outside world. Such rich spiritual energy, even taking a single breath feels incredibly smooth. Yi Tian was quite pleased with the effects of the qi-gathering array. He could now focus entirely on cultivation. With his morning star level cultivation talent and a high-tier qi cultivation technique, the purple blood body refining technique, supplemented by the qi-gathering array, his rate of progress was astonishing. If outsiders knew, they'd undoubtedly label him a monster among monsters. After a day of cultivation, Yi Tian mumbled to himself, "At this rate, I can increase my strength by 9 elephants of power within a month." 9 elephants of power in a month meant that in 10 months he'd reach 90 elephants of power. Considering that his rate of progress might slow down a bit later, a year would be sufficient to reach the pinnacle of the Grandmaster level. Days passed, and Yi Tian had 2 more opportunities to replicate talents. However, he was indecisive about what to copy. Ah, I remember now. Xiao Shui has many talents I haven't copied yet. Xiao Shui was the name he had given to his dragon companion. Glancing over, he saw Xiao Shui playing with little Jin and didn't wish to disturb them. Which one should I copy? Yi Tian hesitated. In the end, his gaze settled on 2 of Xiao Shui's talents. High-level flying talent, medium-level blood-bone talent. It wasn't that Yi Tian didn't want to copy other talents, it was that most of the other talents were dragon-related. He didn't possess dragon blood, so copying those might not be very effective. The high-level flying talent is pretty good, I've wanted to copy it for a while now. Since I don't know which talent to copy at the moment, this seems like a decent choice. Yi Tian thought. Copy, integrate, quickly. Yi Tian had the high-level flying talent. He tested it by flying around the room. The result was that, without the aid of any other forces, he floated into the air, flying to any corner at will, thanks to the flying talent. After resting for a while, he began to copy the medium-level blood-bone talent. He already knew what it was from seeing Xiao Shui use it a few times. The blood-bone talent was a unique skill that allowed one to choose a bone within the body to refine with blood, ultimately forging it into a blood-bone weapon that could be taken out or put back into the body at will. The key was that, upon refinement, the blood bone could take any weapon shape, even that of a sword. Moreover, a new bone would regrow where the blood bone was extracted, so it wouldn't affect the body adversely. The only drawback was that the blood bone talent was only of medium level, it could at most form a high-level elemental weapon. Once he reached the king level, this talent wouldn't be of much use. However, it was better than nothing. If he could somehow upgrade the blood bone talent in the future, it would be incredibly powerful. Chapter 108. Can I fly, even if just a little? Yi Tian had originally planned to cultivate until he reached the pinnacle of the Grandmaster level before leaving the Demon Sea base. However, after only just over 20 days of cultivation, having just raised his physical strength to 10 elephants, a message arrived, disrupting Yi Tian's plans. Something's happened at the Linhai base. Yi Tian frowned. The message came from Yu Ling, its accuracy should be high. As for the Linhai base, to say Yi Tian had no emotional attachment to it would be untrue. It was where he had lived and also the hometown of him and his sister, Yi Yu. Though they had now moved and settled in the Demon Sea base, that didn't mean he had forgotten his old home. His villa at the Linhai base was still unsold, indicating his intention to return someday. But now, something had occurred at the Linhai base. Immediately, Yi Tian contacted Yu Ling, hoping to get more accurate information from her. After all, the message she had sent was simply one brief line, making it hard to know the specifics. An hour later, Yi Tian met Yu Ling again. What's happened at the Linhai base? Yi Tian asked, his brow furrowed. Yu Ling looked gravely serious. A beast tide is about to erupt, and the Linhai base is within the affected area. Under normal circumstances, the Demon Sea base wouldn't stand idly by and let the Linhai base be destroyed, given its strategic importance. But now, the Demon Sea base can't afford to worry about Linhai. This beast tide is sweeping across several major bases. Linhai, being a smaller base, is just collateral damage. Only the core members of the major families at the Demon Sea base know this. I came to know it due to my recent breakthrough to the Grandmaster level, which raised my status in the Yu family. Don't spread this news, it could cause chaos. I have a feeling this beast tide is even more fearsome than the one 40 years ago. More fearsome than the one 40 years ago. Yi Tian's pupils constricted, realizing why the Demon Sea base couldn't spare any attention for Linhai. The Demon Sea base itself was facing the threat of annihilation. How could they possibly care for a minor base like Linhai? In this beast tide, the Linhai base could only rely on itself. What do you think is the likelihood of Linhai base being destroyed? Yi Tian asked. Close to 100%, Yu Ling sighed. Yi Tian, you have no idea how many bases have been destroyed over the past 100 years. Our Yu family knows a lot. Don't be fooled by the glamour of the large bases, even they could collapse at any moment. Moreover, the human situation is getting increasingly dire. It's said that the spatial rifts are expanding, and as time passes, stronger and stronger beasts will appear. It's not impossible that humanity could be annihilated someday. A heavy atmosphere enveloped the room. At that moment, Yi Tian spoke, I'm planning to go to the Linhai base. I hope you can help look after my sister, consider it a favor I owe you. You're going to the Linhai base, are you out of your mind? Yu Ling exclaimed. While the Demon Sea base also faced risks, it still had a relatively higher chance of survival. In the worst-case scenario, they could seek help from the super bases, with which they maintained contact. But Linhai base didn't even have defensive arrays. Once the beast tide broke through, the whole base could be flattened in an instant. Even kings would struggle against the swarm of beasts. What's your cultivation level, Yi Tian? Just a Grandmaster. Even a small part of the beast tide is not something a single Grandmaster can resist. Yi Tian, this is too dangerous and is not worth it. Yu Ling tried to persuade him. Yi Tian gave a slight smile, don't worry, I'm not foolish. I'm only going to try and stop it. If I can't, I'll leave. There aren't many beasts that can stop me if I want to go. He wasn't bragging. With his current level and top-tier speed talent, he was faster than some kings. Moreover, he had a high-level flying talent, which allowed him to simply fly away. With the many special talents that Yi Tian possessed, he was undoubtedly one of the most difficult warriors to kill in this world. freewebnovel.com. It was precisely because he held these trump cards that he dared to venture to the Linhai base. Otherwise, he wasn't foolish enough to court death. Yu Ling knew she couldn't persuade Yi Tian, so she advised, Yi Tian, be careful. If things really don't go well, hurry back. Yi Tian nodded, then parted ways with Yu Ling. Before leaving, Yi Tian gave some instructions to Yi Yu. He did not mention the crisis at the Linhai base or the looming beast tide. Speaking of these would serve no purpose other than to cause Yi Yu worry. Xiao Shui, let's go. I'll take you somewhere. You're always saying you're never full, right? This time, I'll make sure you eat your fill. How does that sound? Yi Tian kicked the dozing war-blood sky dragon as he spoke. Really? The war-blood sky dragon woke up upon hearing Yi Tian's words, lifted its head, and asked excitedly. Absolutely true. Let's go, urged Yi Tian. All right. The war-blood sky dragon immediately followed Yi Tian. Walking down the street didn't cause much of a stir, as the people of this era had never seen a dragon. Moreover, the war-blood sky dragon didn't look like the dragons described in novels. Its body was not slender but rather quite robust. To others, they might just think of the war-blood sky dragon as some sort of dragon beast. Furthermore, Xiao Shui had completely restrained its dragon aura, making it even less likely to be recognized. Soon, Yi Tian and Xiao Shui left Demon Sea base and ventured into the wilderness. Xiao Shui, carry me and fly. We're going to Linhai base. Yi Tian commanded. Fly, do I know how to fly? Xiao Shui asked, bewildered. It never had the chance to fly at Demon Sea base and had never tried flying before. It even considered itself a land-based beast. Yi Tian stared at Xiao Shui for a long while, contemplating whether to give it a good beating. This creature was a dragon, after all, and even had a high aptitude for flying, yet it claimed not to know how. You have a high aptitude for flying, you definitely can. Try it out. If you don't fly, there will be no beast blood for you to drink this time. Yi Tian started to threaten Xiao Shui with the prospect of no beast blood. Hearing that, Xiao Shui grew anxious. Spurred by its flying talent, it soared into the sky within just a few seconds, quickly mastering the art of flying. So it turns out I'm a flying dragon. Xiao Shui exclaimed excitedly. With a flash of light, Xiao Shui appeared beside Yi Tian, lowered its body, and said, "Dear master, climb onto my back. Xiao Shui will take you flying." Yi Tian jumped onto Xiao Shui's back, sat cross-legged, and pointed in the direction of the Linhai base. "Take off, let's go to Linhai base. --. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 109, Arrival at Linhai. At the Linhai base. Warriors were still hunting ferocious beasts in the wilderness, while ordinary people or martial trainees carried on with their daily routines. None of them noticed the impending beast tide. Meanwhile, it seemed that the Demon Sea base had completely abandoned Linhai base and would not notify anyone there. However, many high-ranking officials at Linhai base sensed something unusual. Not that they discovered the beast tide, but they noticed that the higher-ups from the martial pavilion and the banks were secretly evacuating. A meeting was convened in response to this situation. Zongxi, the old man, and a group of major warriors, gathered at the Lin family's residence. Since the Lin family was nominally in charge, it was the natural place for the meeting. But this time, the meeting was chaired not by Lin Wanli but by Zongxi, the only one qualified for the task. At the meeting, Zongxi began, "Ladies and gentlemen, you must all be quite aware by now. The top officials in the Black Market's martial pavilion have all discreetly left, and the pavilion's leader, Wu, is nowhere to be found. The entire pavilion is left with only martial artists and trainees from our Linhai base. The same goes for the banks, their higher-ups have also vanished. According to our investigation, they have all gone to the Demon Sea base." Gone to the Demon Sea base? The warriors frowned in unison. Did something happen at the Demon Sea base? One of the warriors asked. Zongxi shook his head, "I'm not sure. It could be that something has happened at the Demon Sea base, but it's more likely that something is about to happen here at Linhai base." "What? Something's going to happen at Linhai base?" A great martial warrior, originally from the Tiea Iron Fang base, immediately exclaimed. He had experienced the fall of the Tiea base not long ago. Could it be that Linhai base was next? At this point, Zongxi elaborated, "Think about it. If something happened at Demon Sea base, what would be the benefit for those people from the bank and the martial pavilion to go there? They are but low-ranking individuals at Demon Sea base, they have better lives here in Linhai. They've all left, obviously in a hurry to leave Linhai base. I can't think of another reason besides the base being in danger. Can we contact Demon Sea base to find out what's going on?" Lin Wanli asked, furrowing his brow. "We can't," Zongxi shook his head. "All the communication equipment capable of making contact has been taken away. The communicators we bought can only be used within Linhai base, we fundamentally can't reach anyone at Demon Sea base. Could it be the same group of beasts that destroyed Tiea base coming to Linhai? Their leader is a king-level beast, although the weakest kind. One breath from it could kill us all. If a king-level beast attacks, Linhai base would certainly not be able to withstand it. That would explain why the people from the martial pavilion and the bank are leaving," a warrior speculated. "Unlikely," Zongxi refuted. "I sent people to investigate, and that group of beasts hasn't shown any movement. They shouldn't be coming to Linhai. Furthermore, even if a king-level beast did attack, it would just be the weakest kind of king-level beast, artificially promoted through special means. Its real combat power is equivalent to a quasi-king level beast. It may have the power and defense of a king level beast, but it lacks the speed. Demon Sea base has quite a few king level beings, any one of them could wipe out that group of beasts. Then what is the situation?" Another warrior grew anxious. "Should we also go to Demon Sea base to hide?" one warrior suggested. "No," Lin Wanli was the first to disagree. "Most of us have families. Are we to abandon them? Moreover, how can we be sure that the issue is not with Demon Sea base? What if they're currently in a battle? Going there would be sending ourselves to death." Lin Wanli's words were met with the agreement of several major warriors, and the one who had suggested hiding was given a warning by Zongxi. Just at that moment, an elite warrior burst into the room to report. Master, esteemed warriors, something terrible has happened. A fearsome beast has invaded the base. The messenger announced in a state of panic. Old Master Li immediately questioned, what kind of beast? What exactly has happened? The other senior warriors also stared intently at the elite warrior, equally eager to find out what had occurred. Sirs, just moments ago, a flying beast, 10 meters in length, flew into the base. It moved too swiftly for anyone to react. It seems to have landed in the Central Garden District, said the elite warrior. Central Garden District, everyone present was familiar with this area. Long ago, it was just an ordinary villa district, but ever since the rise of Yi Tian, the prices of the villas there had skyrocketed. However, with Yi Tian's departure, the prices had dropped again. Let's go and see. Old Master Li led the way, and the senior warriors followed. Shortly thereafter, they arrived at the Central Garden District. Almost immediately, someone came to report, Sirs, Master Yi Tian has returned. Master Yi Tian has returned. The crowd was overjoyed. Yi Tian had been at the Demon Sea base for a long time and undoubtedly knew the details of what had happened. They might be able to learn from him why the martial arts hall in the banks had withdrawn. Old Master Li was both happy and worried at this moment. He was pleased that the strange situation at Linhai base might finally be explained. However, he was concerned that he could no longer freely command everyone and had to submit to Yi Tian's authority, a matter he found irksome. Still, he said, come, let us go and pay our respects to Master Yi Tian. A group of senior warriors followed a Grand Master, creating quite a stir as they walked through the central garden. The news of Master Yi Tian's return spread like wildfire throughout Linhai base, reaching countless people. However, most went about their usual activities without much emotional upheaval. After all, a person of Yi Tian's caliber was unlikely to interact with them, so excessive attention seemed pointless. Yi Tian's villa. At that moment, Yi Tian was cleaning up a bit. After all, he would be staying here for some time to come. Xiao Shui, his pet, looked around disdainfully. Master, this dump is nowhere near as good as our home. Why are we staying here? This was my home before. Yi Tian glanced at Xiao Shui. Xiao Shui quickly corrected itself. Master, I think this place has a classical style. It's definitely a great place to live. Your reaction speed is pretty fast, and your will to survive is strong. It seems you've grown quickly, Yi Tian said, maintaining a calm exterior but feeling quite astonished on the inside. He remembered when Xiao Shui had just been born, it could only say simple words like, hungry, thirsty, and, sleep. Now, not much time had passed, and Xiao Shui had not only grown to 10 meters in length but had also developed intelligence almost comparable to that of a human child. This rate of growth and talent was truly shocking. Truly worthy of a Don-tier bloodline talent, Yi Tian mused to himself. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 110, Insanely Crafting Arrays. Someone's coming. Yi Tian sensed with his spiritual power that a group of people had arrived outside his villa. They were the high-ranking officials from the Linhai base. We pay our respects to Grandmaster Yi. Old Man Li and the other great martial warriors stood outside Yi Tian's door, bowing deeply. Come in. Yi Tian's voice rang out. Li and the other great martial warriors entered and soon saw Yi Tian and the war-blood sky dragon. Though the dragon had restrained its aura, it made no effort to hide its realm or imposing presence. A top-tier beast. Old Man Li looked at the dragon, Xiao Shui, his body trembling. He felt that this beast had the power to kill him in an instant. It was undoubtedly a fearsome top-tier beast. Then, his eyes fell upon Yi Tian, and he was struck with awe. Grandmaster. Yi Tian's realm had reached that of a grandmaster, not just a great martial warrior. Not only was Old Man Li stunned, but so were the other great martial warriors. They had referred to Yi Tian as a grandmaster solely because he had demonstrated battle prowess exceeding that of an ordinary grandmaster. His true cultivation, however, had been at the level of a great martial warrior. But now, Yi Tian had actually ascended to the realm of a grandmaster. A great martial warrior level Yi Tian had been able to slay grandmasters. Now that he was a grandmaster, would killing ordinary grandmasters be as easy as killing chickens and slaughtering dogs? Respect. Everyone became even more respectful towards Yi Tian, not daring to slack off. Grandmaster Yi, why have you returned? Old Man Li acted humbly, lacking the grandmaster's domineering aura and pressure, appearing instead like a complete lackey. A crisis is impending for Linhai base, so I've returned, Yi Tian revealed without hiding anything. He felt that the people of Linhai Base had a right to know. Moreover, he hoped that Old Man Lee and others could assist him with some tasks. Therefore, he decided to tell them the truth. A crisis in Linhai Base. Old Man Lee felt panic surge within him. He had suspected this might be the case, which was why he had called a meeting, but until it was confirmed, there had been a glimmer of hope. But now, Yi Tian, who had returned from Demon Sea Base, had personally declared that a crisis was imminent for Linhai Base. There was no doubt left. Grandmaster Yi, please save Linhai Base. Lin Wanli pleaded, and Old Man Lee and the other great martial warriors also quickly followed suit. Grandmaster Yi, please rescue Linhai Base. Sigh, Yi Tian sighed deeply. I returned this time to address this issue. But let me warn you, if we cannot hold, I will not stay in Linhai Base. I'll flee at the first opportunity. You should also prepare to flee at any moment. Whether you can actually escape, that depends on your luck. Old Man Lee's face changed. Grandmaster Yi, is it the king beast that annihilated the Tia Iron Fang base planning to strike at Linhai Base? No, Yi Tian shook his head. If it were just a king beast causing the catastrophe, Demon Sea Base wouldn't abandon Linhai Base. This place is like a gateway for Demon Sea Base. But now Demon Sea Base can't even reinforce Linhai Base because Demon Sea Base itself is facing an existential crisis. Boom. This news completely shocked Old Man Lee and others. Demon Sea Base was a massive base with countless grandmasters and numerous king-level beings. Could such an enormous base really be facing a crisis of annihilation? What kind of disaster could that be? They couldn't even fathom, let alone dare to imagine it. Will Linhai Base also face the same crisis as Demon Sea Base? Lin Wanli asked in despair. Yes, Yi Tian replied solemnly, I don't know the specific details, but I know that an unprecedented beast tide is about to erupt. Demon Sea Base and a few other major bases are all within the attack range. As for small bases like Linhai, they're merely within the affected scope. But even a minor impact is more than a small base like Linhai can withstand. Under these circumstances, Demon Sea Base will undoubtedly prioritize defending their own base and will not be able to assist other bases. I understand. Lin Wanli finally understood why the people from the Martial Pavilion in the bank had fled. In their eyes, although the Demon Sea Base was also dangerous, its chances of survival were much greater than those of Linhai Base. If nothing unexpected happened, Linhai Base was almost certain to be annihilated. Master Yi, can we move to Demon Sea Base now? Lin Wanli asked with hope. Absolutely not. Yi Tian flatly rejected Lin Wanli's suggestion, explaining, most people in the Demon Sea Base are unaware of the impending beast tide. This is to prevent panic. Only core members of major powers are informed. If you were to move there, it would become public knowledge. Do you believe that those major powers wouldn't send people outside the Demon Sea Base to kill you? Whoosh, everyone's expressions changed, and they promptly abandoned the idea. Master Yi, what should we do now? Asked Old Li. Being a master himself, Old Li had more than 100 good years left and certainly didn't want to die. First, let's set up some arrays. According to my estimation, we have several days before the beast tide erupts. I will set up some defensive arrays in the meantime, which should be somewhat useful, Yi Tian said. Arrays? Master Yi, are you also an array master? Old Li was surprised. He had been to the Demon Sea Base and was well aware of the status of array masters there. Indeed, Yi Tian nodded. Master Yi, do we need to help with anything? Old Li looked at Yi Tian. Bring me a batch of array plate embryos. These are not complicated but require high-quality elemental materials. The blacksmiths in Linhai Base can forge them. Get me as many as you can, Yi Tian instructed. Alright, we'll go right away. The group immediately set out to gather array plate embryos. Yi Tian began crafting arrays, primarily focusing on defensive and offensive ones. This time, he brought quite a number of array plates but knew it wouldn't be enough, which is why he had asked Old Li and the others to get more. Yi Tian carved the array patterns onto the plates one by one. With his top-notch talent in array crafting, he was able to create a basic array plate in less than 10 minutes and a mid-level one in less than half an hour. As for high-tier array plates, he was not yet capable of crafting them, as his mastery in arrays was only at the mid-level. Focus on basic array plates and supplement with mid-level ones, Yi Tian set this as his crafting plan. Days passed by. Every day, Yi Tian was able to craft around 100 basic array plates, but only a few mid-level ones. The price he paid for this was a complete lack of rest and no time for cultivation. 5 days flew by. Yi Tian had crafted a total of 489 basic array plates and 18 mid-level ones. Subsequently, he had all the defensive arrays embedded into the walls surrounding Linhai Base by Old Lee and the others. As for the offensive arrays, they were placed on the open ground outside Linhai Base. During this period, Linhai Base was closed off, not allowing people to enter or exit, so as to avoid triggering the arrays. Yi Tian unusually took a half-day off, choosing not to continue crafting. If he didn't maintain his condition, a decrease in his fighting ability would be a significant issue. The arrays could only slightly hold back the beast tide, what he would really rely on was his own combat strength. Therefore, he had to remain at his peak state. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 111, Spatial Rift. Chapter 111, Spatial Rift. The sun blazed in the sky. A blood-red figure flew into Yi Tian's villa, right under the indifferent gazes of the onlookers. Astonishingly, it was Xiao Shui. Over the past few days, Yi Tian had been tirelessly crafting array discs, and had dispatched Xiao Shui to gather intelligence. Just as expected, Xiao Shui returned today with a report. Xiao Shui, you seem more energetic. Did you consume a lot of beast blood while you were out? Yi Tian inquired. Not much, just a little. Xiao Shui retorted. How little is a little? Yi Tian asked, amused. Only a few hundred high-level beasts and 7 or 8 top-level beasts, Xiao Shui replied. Is that what you call a little? Yi Tian shot Xiao Shui a stern glance before continuing. How did the reconnaissance go? When is the beast tide expected to break out? Xiao Shui responded earnestly. I observed from the sky. To the east, there is a large gathering of beasts, and I sensed several terrifying auras. I didn't dare to get too close. About 30,000 kilometers to the east, I saw a spatial rift from which numerous beasts are emerging. A spatial rift? Yi Tian was shocked. Now he finally understood why a beast tide was going to happen. It all originated from the spatial rift. So that's it. The warriors at the Demon Sea base must have discovered this spatial rift. It must be a newly formed rift. 60,000 kilometers may seem far, but it's a short distance for king-level beings. The Demon Sea base is very close to Linhai base, so the spatial rift is also about 60,000 kilometers away from the Demon Sea base. This distance is perilous for them, Yi Tian murmured to himself. A full-scale spatial rift was an absolute disaster for the Demon Sea base and other nearby major bases. A single mistake could lead to their obliteration, unless they could kill the powerful beasts emerging from the rift and take full control of it. But was that even possible? Though he wasn't clear about the specifics of the spatial rift, he knew that Earth's crises originated from such rifts. To control it, one would have to penetrate to the other side of the rift, a task of unimaginable difficulty. Let's not think too much for now. The priority is to secure Linhai base, Yi Tian decided, once again dispatching Xiao Shui to monitor the beast tide from the sky. If the tide surged, Xiao Shui would report back immediately. After Xiao Shui left, Yi Tian stopped crafting array discs. They were sufficient for the time being. Instead, he began cultivating. Every day of cultivation would significantly boost his power. That was certainly better than wasting time. Meanwhile, the higher-ups at Linhai base were also taking action. They started to form teams of warriors. Any warrior had to join, no one could object. Ordinary people and martial artists began digging tunnels. Beasts capable of moving underground were rare, so the tunnels would provide a safe haven for civilians and children to avoid getting caught in the crossfire. Even if Linhai base fell, surviving in the tunnels was still a slim hope. One could say that the entire Linhai base was now mobilized. 3 days passed. Xiao Shui flew back, updating Yi Tian on the movement of the beast tide. Master, the beast tide is on the move, spreading in all directions. A small troop of beasts is headed for Linhai base, Xiao Shui reported. Are there any king-level beasts? Yi Tian asked. This was what he was most concerned about. If king-level beasts were involved, things would get complicated. The power of a king-level beast was not something that a top-level beast could match. If it were a weaker king-level beast, then that was another story. Yi Tian's speed was on par with a king-level beast, and his attack power was even far beyond. Therefore, he could fight a king-level beast, and even potentially kill a weaker one. What he feared were the king beasts with overwhelming power, for the gap in strength within individual king beasts could be immense. There's only one king beast, but there are probably over 100 top-tier beasts, about 10,000 high-tier beasts, and hundreds of thousands of other beasts, Xiao Shui reported, revealing an astonishing number. So many beasts. Yi Tian frowned. Given the current situation of the Linhai base, they could at best deal with ordinary beasts. As for the top-tier beasts and the king beast, only he and Xiao Shui could handle them. Xiao Shui, can you handle all the top-tier beasts? Yi Tian inquired. Absolutely, they're just a bunch of low bloodline top-tier beasts. How could they possibly compare to me? Xiao Shui replied, full of confidence. That's good, Yi Tian said, finally letting out a sigh of relief. With Xiao Shui restraining the top-tier beasts, Grandmaster Li and other elite warriors could deal with high-tier and mid-tier beasts. Although they couldn't completely fend them off, they could still hold their ground with the help of their arrays. Yi Tian's mission was to swiftly slay the king beast. I've already refined my Yinwei meridian, increasing my power by 10 units. My physical strength has reached 11 units, which can be doubled to 22 units through the use of Yuan power. With a 6-fold increase from my Qingfeng Slash and a 30-fold increase from my Pseudo-Mystic Strength talent, my strongest attack can reach 3,960 units of power. A typical Grandmaster at their pinnacle has only 200 units, and a weaker King Beast's attack is just 400 or 500 units. But the King Beast that's coming is definitely not weak. If it possesses offensive talents, it will be hard to deal with, Yi Tian analyzed. In any case, he could only hope that the King Beast was not too powerful, or else it would inevitably be a difficult battle. Whoosh! Yi Tian moved swiftly toward where Grandmaster Li was located. Grandmaster Yi, why have you come? Grandmaster Li was surprised. The beast tide is approaching, we have less than half an hour. Prepare for battle, Yi Tian stated gravely. What? The beast tide is coming. Grandmaster Li was momentarily flustered. Grandmaster Yi, what is the scale of the beast tide? Grandmaster Li asked with a pale face. 1 king beast, over 100 top-tier beasts, 10,000 high-tier beasts, and hundreds of thousands of mid- and low-tier beasts, Yi Tian answered truthfully. There was no point in hiding the truth, even if it scared Grandmaster Li. Boom! A wave of despair washed over Grandmaster Li's mind, leaving him speechless for a long moment. I will handle the king beast and the 100 or so top-tier beasts with my beast pet. Lin Hai base only needs to fend off the high-tier and mid- to low-tier beasts. With the array I've set up, you can hold them off for a short period. All you need to do is buy time. I'll take down the king beast as quickly as I can and support you, Yi Tian promised. Grandmaster Yi, can you really slay the king beast? Grandmaster Li was astonished. As long as it's not an overly powerful king beast, I can slay it, Yi Tian responded with certainty. Grandmaster Li's confidence surged instantly. Grandmaster Yi, I will definitely lead the other warriors to hold off the beasts and buy time for you, he assured. Yi Tian nodded, his figure disappearing from view. Grandmaster Li immediately summoned the other warriors to the city walls to defend Lin Hai base. As for the common people, they took refuge in underground tunnels following various orders. A grand battle between man and beast was about to begin. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 112, The Beast Tide is Here, The War King Beast. At Lin Hai base, atop the city walls, numerous armed warriors stood there, eyes gazing into the distance. At that moment, fear gnawed at their hearts, some were even unable to grip their energy weapons. Elder Li and other masters had already briefed them on the situation. A beast tide was approaching, led by a king-tier beast and hundreds of top-tier beasts, with tens of thousands more in tow. Had Elder Li and the others not repeatedly assured them that there were individuals designated to handle the king beast and top-tier beasts, they would have lost all will to fight. Time trickled away, and the tension within everyone intensified. Just then, an elite warrior with an eagle-eyed talent suddenly shouted, "The beast tide is here." An endless wave of beasts is approaching, led by a massive black bear that stands 100 meters tall. Boom! The crowd was instantly plunged into panic. Quiet down. If we can't hold them back, not only will we die, but our families and friends behind us will also perish. We have no choice but to fight, Elder Li said gravely. Inside, Elder Li was terrified, but as a master, he could not show fear in front of weaker warriors. Reluctantly, he had no choice but to feign composure. Above the sky, Yi Tian and Xiao Shui hovered in the air, watching the oncoming tide of beasts. Xiao Shui, I'll intercept the king beast first. Wait a moment, then you take care of the top-tier beasts. As for the others, ignore them, Yi Tian instructed. In reality, he wanted to stop all the beasts at once, but that was impractical. The line of battle was extensive, and even the most potent king-level warriors couldn't hold back so many beasts at once. He had no option but to target the leaders first. Yi Tian flew towards the king beast without using teleportation. It was his trump card, and he couldn't expose it yet. In an instant, Yi Tian was in front of the king beast, his eyes fixed on it. His talent for copying also had a range that reached 1,000 meters, which covered the king beast. He assessed its abilities. Type: Black Back War Bear Bloodline Talent. Top-tier defensive talent. Medium strength talent. Medium. This king beast is no simple creature, Yi Tian murmured with a serious face. The king beast had just top-tier bloodline talent, which was surprisingly low. It likely reached its plateau and could advance no further. The king beast, with its bodily strength, had just breached a threshold to have 300 units of force, which was similar to a human king-level warrior's 150 units of force amplified by energy to 300 units. The crux was, the Black Back War Bear had a medium-level talent for strength, which could amplify its force more than 5 times, equivalent to 1,500 units of force. If it were only this, it would still be manageable. But this king beast also had a medium-level defensive talent, capable of mitigating many attacks. Yi Tian's offensive power could hurt the Black Back War Bear, but it would take some time to kill it. And time was the most lethal factor, he couldn't afford to delay. Die. Without wasting a second, Yi Tian's green wind slash descended upon the Black Back War Bear. Roar. The Black Back War Bear retaliated with a furious swipe at Yi Tian. Its palms was as massive as the earth itself. Boom! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. The green wind slash left a 3-inch long blood mark on the war bear's hands, causing it to retreat a few steps, trampling a top-tier beast and several high-level beasts to death in the process. Roar, roar, roar. The Black Back War Bear ordered the other beasts to roll away and attack Linhai base, not wanting them to get in its way. Yi Tian's battle with the Black Back War Bear continued. Slash, slash, slash. Yi Tian released the Qingfeng slash again and again, landing it on the black-backed battle bear, each time injuring the beast. However, it was difficult to strike at the bear's vital points. After all, the black-backed battle bear was also a king beast, quick to react and fast in movement, albeit lacking somewhat in attack power. 100 miles away, Xiao Shui took action. It rushed into the tide of beasts, focusing on the top-tier creatures. At this moment, it ignored the attacks coming from these elite beasts. Xiao Shui's speed was not particularly fast, its cultivation was low and its innate speed talent was only average. Even with high-level flying abilities, its speed was roughly comparable to these top-tier beasts. However, if any of these formidable beasts had a speed talent, Xiao Shui couldn't keep up. But Xiao Shui's defense was high. Possessing top-tier defensive abilities, it was completely unafraid of the other top-tier beasts. Furthermore, its strength had reached the top-tier level, and its attacks exceeded the limits of these elite beasts. What was even more crucial was that it had other talents to aid it. Dragon Soul Talent. Boom! A giant dragon-shaped phantom appeared above Xiao Shui's head. The moment this dragon-shaped phantom appeared, all the surrounding beasts within a 10-mile radius were shocked and felt an overwhelming pressure. This was the Dragon Soul's pressure on other beasts, making them unable to perform at their strongest state. Next, roar. Xiao Shui emitted a dragon roar, a manifestation of its high-level dragon roar talent. Instantly, a powerful sound wave spread in all directions. Numerous beasts were shaken to death, including some of the weaker top-tier ones. One after another, the bodies of beasts lay strewn across the land. From a distance, standing atop the walls of Linhai base, Old Man Li gulped, completely stunned by Xiao Shui's combat abilities. In terms of killing speed, even Yi Tian was inferior to Xiao Shui. Indeed, Xiao Shui had numerous abilities and could cover a large range of attack. This was due to its dragon bloodline, incomparable to any other species. There's hope, thought Old Man Li and others. But the beasts weren't fools. They wouldn't let Xiao Shui continue its rampage. Roar! 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 Several powerful top-tier beasts circled around Xiao Shui, preparing to attack this traitor. Yes, they considered Xiao Shui a traitor, daring to attack its own kind. Such a traitor must die. Xiao Shui successfully drew the attention of all the top-tier beasts, but the other beasts didn't stop their advance towards Linhai base. They had all received commands from a greater entity to breach the human base, so they wouldn't stop unless they were dead. Swarm after swarm of high-level, middle-level, and low-level beasts continued to advance, soon reaching Yi Tian's killing array set up in the wilderness. Beast after beast rushed into the array, only to be slaughtered in droves. These beasts didn't know how to break the array, they could only use their numbers to overwhelm it. With such a brutish approach, and at the cost of numerous lives, the arrays in the wilderness were eventually broken through. The city wall was now within sight. Old Man Li looked at the scene and stood up. Martial artists, shoot arrows. Elite warriors, attack the middle-level beasts. Great martial warriors, follow me to kill the high-level beasts. Anyone who dares to flee will be the first one I kill. Without another word, Old Man Li was the first to leap off the city wall and engage the high-level beasts in combat. Other martial artists also began to fight, none daring to flee. If they couldn't hold the line, fleeing would be a dead end anyway. Every moment, some martial artists were killed, but many beasts were also slain. With the blockade of tens of thousands of martial artists, the remaining beasts found it difficult to break through the defensive array on the city wall. For a moment, Linhai Base actually held against the tide of beasts and was not swept away. But all the martial artists knew very well that the real battleground was between Yi Tian and the King Beast. If Yi Tian won, Linhai Base would be saved. If the King Beast won, Linhai Base would be doomed. freewebnovel.com. -- For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 113, Slaying the King Beast, Crisis Temporarily Averted. 10 minutes had passed. The King Beast, Blackback Battle Bear, had not been slain by Yi Tian. Though it was covered in wounds and bleeding profusely, saturating the ground into a pool of blood, it continued to fight with immense battle spirit. Contrastingly, Yi Tian, while uninjured, had consumed much of his physical and magical energy. At that moment, Yi Tian activated his quasi-mystical level talent, blood-draining talent. Devour. A copious amount of the Blackback Battle Bear's blood flew into Yi Tian's mouth, which he swallowed in one gulp to replenish his physical and magical strength. Such was the horrifying capability of the blood-draining talent, it allowed him to consume blood to regain strength, fueling him to keep fighting, whereas the Blackback Battle Bear could not recover its own wounds or strength. Yi Tian glanced back at the Linhai Base and frowned instantly, there are too many beasts. At least tens of thousands of warriors have died. If this continues, Linhai Base won't hold. He made a decision immediately. Teleport. Yi Tian instantaneously appeared beside the eye of the Blackback Battle Bear. Next, he struck through the eye of the Blackback Battle Bear with all his might, letting his terrifying sword chi pierce into its brain. At that instant, the Blackback Battle Bear slapped Yi Tian away. As he was being flung through the air, Yi Tian activated two major talents. Quasi-mystical defensive talent, quasi-mystical diamond bone talent. The two quasi-mystical talents absorbed the King Beast's strike, allowing Yi Tian to withstand the attack, though his internal organs were still injured. Top-level healing talent. Yi Tian's injuries rapidly recovered under the effects of the top-level healing talent. But by then, the Blackback Battle Bear let out a painful howl. Suffering brain damage was a critical injury for it. Seizing this opportunity, Yi Tian repeatedly attacked the Blackback Battle Bear using teleportation, targeting its eye wound each time. After several strikes, the Blackback Battle Bear grew increasingly weak until it eventually fell to the ground. Confirming its death, Yi Tian didn't even have the time to collect its king-level beast blood, he immediately went to support Old Man Li and the others. Yi Tian's teleportation range had greatly increased compared to before, each teleport spanning roughly 10 kilometers. After multiple teleports, he arrived beneath the city walls. He wasn't worried about being noticed, for people simply thought Yi Tian was extraordinarily fast. Die. With a swing of his sword, countless rays of sword light carried 20% of sword intent, annihilating numerous beasts, even top-level beasts found it hard to withstand a single sword ray. Kill, kill, kill. Yi Tian's speed was incredibly fast, slashing through the hordes of beasts like mowing grass. With Yi Tian's assistance, the pressure on the warriors of Linhai Base decreased dramatically. In less than half an hour, hundreds of thousands of beasts were completely wiped out. Even the top-level beasts on Xiao Shui's side were mostly ground to death. Only a few faster beasts managed to escape but were soon caught and killed by Yi Tian. At this point, the beast tide temporarily came to an end. The ordinary warriors, seeing the beast tide recede, were ecstatic. They rushed out of the base to collect beast blood and corpses. However, Yi Tian, Old Man Li, and others did not relax. They knew the true origin of this beast tide. What they had faced so far was just a small part of the beast tide, not the main beast army. The tide had temporarily ceased. Yi Tian flew back to where the Blackback Battle Bear had died, collecting its king-level beast blood. He collected approximately 10,000 portions, mainly because the Blackback Battle Bear's body was so large that it naturally had a lot of blood. As for the corpse of the Blackback Battle Bear, Yi Tian also bestowed it upon Xiao Shui. Xiao Shui liked not only the taste of the blood of ferocious beasts but also their flesh. The way it gained power was quite similar to how these ferocious beasts did. Master. Xiao Shui ran over. What's the matter? Yi Tian inquired. A bit embarrassed, Xiao Shui said, Master, when I hunt those top-tier ferocious beasts, can their blood belong to me? Yi Tian laughed heartily, patted Xiao Shui on the head, and said, Sure, it's all yours. Delighted, Xiao Shui still hesitated before flatteringly saying, Master, I remember you have quite a few storage bags. I don't have one. There's too much blood from those ferocious beasts to drink at once. Could you give me some storage bags? Here you go. Yi Tian took 2 storage bags from his person. He emptied the contents into his personal space and wiped off the imprint on the bags before handing them to Xiao Shui. Xiao Shui quickly integrated the bags and was very pleased. It remembered that Little Purple had a storage bag from which it would take stored items. The convenience of the storage bags had always excited Xiao Shui. This time, it finally managed to obtain 2 storage bags from its master. HMPH, these storage bags are mine. Master wouldn't even give them to you if you asked. Xiao Shui secretly thought. Whoosh, it quickly ran to where the top-tier ferocious beasts had perished and started collecting blood from their corpses. Soon, it filled the storage bags. In no time, both storage bags were brimming with beast blood. Xiao Shui ingested the remaining blood and began refining it to enhance its strength. It took a full 3 days to completely deal with the corpses of the beasts outside the base. Every household received a considerable amount of beast flesh and blood, and ample compensation was given to the families of the fallen warriors. At the Lin residence, a meeting commenced. Master Yi, after calculating, a total of 12,123 warriors and around 20,000 ordinary people have died, Lin Wanli reported to Yi Tian. Why did so many ordinary people die? Yi Tian frowned. It's because a few high-tier beasts broke into the inner base. We couldn't hide everyone underground, and many people refused to go. Due to the limited number of warriors, the beasts were not killed in time, leading to this tragedy, Lin Wanli explained with a sense of helplessness. Yi Tian sighed, understanding that there was little that could have been done. The number of beasts was overwhelming, and it was already commendable that Linhai base had managed to hold up. Relative to the scale of the invasion, the losses were, unfortunately, rather light. Master Yi, what do we do next? The beast tide isn't over yet, is it? Old Man Li finally spoke. It's not over. I want to check on the situation at the Great Demon Sea base. As for here, always pay attention to what's happening in the wilderness. This is a communicator, it allows you to send me simple messages. Even if I'm at the Great Demon Sea base, you can contact me. If another wave of beasts arrives, remember to reach out, Yi Tian instructed. Master Yi Tian, going to the Great Demon Sea base. Isn't that too dangerous? Old Man Li's expression changed dramatically. He wasn't really worried about Yi Tian's safety, but rather that Linhai base would be unprotected without him. If a crisis did occur, what if Yi Tian couldn't make it back in time to save them? Hence, he naturally hoped that Yi Tian would stay. My decision is final, that's that. Yi Tian spoke and left, not giving anyone the chance to argue. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 114, The Invincible King Beast. Xiao Shui, let's go. Yi Tian leapt onto Xiao Shui's back, and Xiao Shui soared into the sky, heading towards Demon Sea base. Quickly, Xiao Shui approached Demon Sea base but stopped short of entering. Boom, 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 sounds of distant combat reached their ears. What intense fighting! Yi Tian's pupils constricted, deeply surprised. Far away, a dense swarm of ferocious beasts was besieging Demon Sea base, attacking from both the sky and the ground. In the sky, a group of flying beasts, including numerous king-level beasts, relentlessly assaulted the defensive array. Meanwhile, on the ground, there were countless top-tier, high-tier, and medium to low-tier ferocious beasts, their numbers impossible to calculate. Judging by the scale alone, this army of ferocious beasts was at least 100 times larger than the beast swarm threatening Linhai base, and their quality was much higher. Throughout all this, there was one beast that had not made a move. It was a golden monkey, not very tall, standing at about 50 meters. However, its aura seemed to pierce the heavens, even the regular king-level beasts appeared as insignificant as ants before it. Suddenly, the golden monkey glanced at Yi Tian, sending a chill down his spine. Terrifying, Yi Tian became fully aware of the formidable nature of this golden monkey. He was at least 186,300 kilometers away and was looking at the creature from an altitude of 1,000 meters, yet he had been noticed. Nonetheless, after giving Yi Tian a single look, the golden monkey lost interest. Does it think I'm too weak to warrant its attention? Yi Tian muttered to himself. It made sense. On the surface, his cultivation level indicated that he had only refined one meridian, making him a mere grandmaster. The golden monkey, lacking the ability to perceive his unique talents, naturally wouldn't pay attention to such a small fry. Let's head into Demon Sea Base and find out what's going on, Yi Tian decided after observing the situation for a while. Given the circumstances, it was unlikely that the beasts would turn around and attack the small Linhai base. Even if they did, it would only happen after they had conquered Demon Sea Base. Therefore, staying at Linhai Base was a waste of time for Yi Tian. It would be better to investigate the situation at Demon Sea Base, which undoubtedly had more information. And so, Yi Tian flew toward Demon Sea Base from another direction. Along the way, a few flying beasts attempted to intercept him, but they were swiftly slain by him. Many of Demon Sea Base's array gates were closed. However, after Yi Tian produced his identity card and array master badge, he was granted entry. A small array gate was temporarily opened to allow him inside. Once inside, it was evident that the atmosphere at Demon Sea Base had become quite somber, as many warriors were out fighting. Yi Tian wasn't sure if Yu Ling was also fighting outside, but he attempted to contact her nonetheless. Yi Tian, you're back. Wait for me. This message came from Yu Ling via the communicator. Not long after, Yi Tian was finally reunited with Yu Ling. Are you injured? Yi Tian had clearly noticed that Yu Ling's condition was far from ideal. Her complexion was somewhat pale, and one of her hands appeared weak, evidently due to a severe injury to her arm. I entered the battlefield once and suffered serious injuries. If it weren't for a top-notch master from my family coming to my rescue, I probably wouldn't have made it back. But I'm fortunate, because being injured gave me the chance to retreat back to the base, Yu Ling said with a bitter smile. Then, she quickly asked, how is the Linhai base? Yi Tian responded truthfully, a beast tide broke out there as well, but the beasts were not strong, so I took care of them. You handled it. Yu Ling was astonished. She couldn't genuinely believe that a beast tide attacking a base would be weak. There would undoubtedly be a large number of top-tier beasts, perhaps even king beasts. And yet, Yi Tian had resolved the issue. This level of capability was nothing short of incredible. By the way, how is my sister? Before leaving, Yi Tian had asked Yu Ling to take care of his sister and had even arranged for Yu Ling to return to her family home. Your sister is fine, Yu Ling said. She's just an elite martial artist. Apart from a few older elites with little potential, all the other elite martial artists are still within the base. If she were a great martial artist, she would have been forced onto the battlefield. Hearing this, Yi Tian breathed a sigh of relief. As long as his sister was fine, that was all that mattered. She was the only family he had in this world. What's the current situation with the war? Do you know the specifics? Yi Tian asked again. Yu Ling sighed, it's complicated. This time, within a radius of 100,000 miles, 3 large bases were attacked. Each of these bases encountered massive beast attacks, and all 3 beast armies were led by an invincible king beast. Invincible king beast. Yi Tian thought about that golden monkey. It must be an invincible king beast. An invincible king beast was like a peak king-level human, practically unbeatable within their rank, with terrifying strength. Even very powerful king-level beings were like ants before them. Does the Demon Sea Base have a way to deal with that invincible king? Yi Tian was uncertain if the Demon Sea Base had an invincible king-level person. If not, that would be troublesome. No, Yu Ling shook her head. Demon Sea Base currently doesn't have an invincible king. There was one, from the Yun family, but he has gone to explore a super base. Right now, we're trying to contact him. However, the Yun family has activated something he left behind, releasing the aura of an invincible king, which makes that invincible king beast outside the base hesitate, thinking there's one inside, so he hasn't taken any major action. Otherwise, I doubt our defensive arrays would hold for long. Yi Tian frowned. He hadn't expected the situation at the Demon Sea Base to be so dire. They were simply buying time. Yi Tian was our array master, so he didn't need to fight for now. However, the moment the situation reached a crisis point, everyone, including 15-year-old warriors, would be forced onto the battlefield. Soon, Yi Tian was summoned by the Array Masters Association to craft array discs for the warriors on the battlefield. Each disc crafted could help kill more beasts, making the tasks of array masters crucial. Yi Tian's assignment was to craft 50 elementary array discs per day. It wasn't much, and once done, he would have extra time to cultivate. While he could earn extra points from the association for making more, he found them useless at the moment, especially as these low-level discs wouldn't change the overall situation. So, Yi Tian chose to spend his extra time cultivating. The war continued. 5 days passed, and Yi Tian received no distress signals from Linhai base, indicating it was safe for the time being. My current physical strength is equivalent to 13 elephants, Yi Tian murmured to himself. Unfortunately, even with the pseudo-mystical power talent and the Qingfeng slash, this level of strength can only deal with some weaker king beasts. Just then, Yu Ling sent another urgent message. TL note. IDKY it says 186,300 kilometers. That seems a bit too far. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 115. Within the array, slaying the king beast again. The ancestor of the Yun family had returned. Upon hearing this news, even Yi Tian's face brightened with joy. With the return of the Yun family's ancestor, at the very least, the Demon Sea base would be preserved. This was good news for Yi Tian, as he did not want to see the Demon Sea base fall and be forced to flee with his sister. Swiftly, the news of the ancestor's return spread throughout the Demon Sea base, and the senior figures there breathed a sigh of relief. During this period, they had suffered considerable losses. Countless grandmasters had fallen, and even a few at the king level had perished. If the ancestor hadn't returned, the beasts would have eventually launched a full-scale attack, and the invincible king beast would certainly have acted, putting the Demon Sea base in jeopardy. The day after the ancestor's return, Yu Ling informed Yi Tian that the Yun family and other major forces had discussed a counterattack to drive back the beasts and lift the crisis in the Demon Sea base. In this battle, all powerful warriors above the level of Grandmaster must participate, and even array masters like Yi Tian had to lend a hand, for it was on the battlefield that array masters could truly unleash the power of arrays. That day, Yi Tian joined the army of warriors and entered the battlefield. Tens of thousands of warriors above the level of Grandmaster occupied an area of thousands of miles. In comparison to the beasts, the human warriors were undoubtedly fewer in number. However, humans had advantages, such as the use of weapons, arrays, healing items, and higher intelligence. As a result, the gap in numbers was not a significant factor. What truly dominated the battlefield was the fight between king-level entities, especially between the invincible king level and the invincible king beast. High above, the ancestor of the Yun family appeared, dressed in white and looking exceptionally young, like a dashing young man. The ancestor, Yun Mengli, had a feminine name, but his combat achievements were extraordinary. He had slain 3 king beasts in one battle at the Grandmaster level. After advancing to the king level, he became unbeatable in just 10 years. Later, he secluded himself for cultivation and withdrew from worldly matters. Unknown to all, he had long left the Demon Sea base and entered the super base. If not for this beast-tide event, Yun Mengli would still be in the super base. Retreat. Yun Mengli shouted coldly. He was speaking to the golden monkey, trying to make it lead the beast horde away. However, the golden monkey merely bared its teeth and laughed, as if mocking Yun Mengli. Without another word, they went straight to battle. Boom, boom, boom. The two invincible entities clashed in the sky at an altitude of 10,000 meters, causing immense ripples in the void. Ordinary warriors who dared to glance at the high sky would feel their minds shaken, dizzy and disoriented. Below, warriors and beasts fought fiercely, painting a grisly scene. The entire battlefield was like a meat grinder, even grandmasters couldn't guarantee their own lives. Yi Tian, along with the team from the Yu family, activated a high-level array, covering an area of 10 miles, and slaughtered groups of beasts. The ground was piled high with the corpses of beasts. Even top-level beasts couldn't last long under the attack of the high-level array. Little brother Yi Tian, take a break. You've maintained the array for half an hour and have expended a lot of mental and physical energy. Let me take over, an old man said. He was a mid-level array master from the Yu family, named Yu Lai. However, his strength was only at the level of Grandmaster. After just a few minutes, he had exhausted his energy and had to rest. Now, he had recovered. I'm fine, go help the other array masters, Yi Tian replied. He was not lying. Although maintaining the high-level array indeed consumed physical and mental energy, even draining some spiritual force, the ground was full of beast corpses and a lot of fresh blood around him. He secretly activated his blood-devouring talent, drawing on the power of the blood to recover his strength. His vitality was full, and even if he forcibly drained his life force to activate the array, it would quickly replenish. After all, the primary resource restored by the blood-devouring talent was vitality. Physical and mental energy were just secondary. Yu Lai thought Yi Tian was just persevering and thus tried to persuade him to rest. Suddenly, Yu Lai's face changed dramatically. Not good, a king beast has entered the array. Our Yu family members are in danger. The Grand Masters of the Yu family were within the array, killing beasts. Relying solely on a high-level array to kill so many beasts was unrealistic. It required the cooperation of Grandmaster warriors. Only in this way could the beasts be prevented from destroying the array, allowing its power to harvest them wave by wave. But now, a king beast had rushed in, and the Grand Masters of the Yu family couldn't stop it. Yu Lai, you take charge of the array, I'll go inside. Yi Tian swiftly declared. Yi Tian, you're an array master, how could you go into the array? Yu Lai was greatly alarmed, fearing for Yi Tian's life. However, Yi Tian had already charged in, leaving Yu Lai with no choice but to take charge of the array, taking Yi Tian's place. Inside the array, the numerous masters of the Yu family looked on in despair at the king beast that had just charged in. Though it was not an incredibly powerful king beast, it was not something that a master could deal with. Only a master possessing both king-level attack power and king-level speed could handle a king beast, qualifying them as nearly invincible masters. But there was no such nearly invincible master here. The king-level Yu family members were on another battlefield and had no time to come to their aid. Are we going to die? Yu Ling looked at the terrifying king beast and thought gloomily. Just then, two ultimate masters from the Yu family charged in. Both possessed moderate swordsmanship talents and were able to display several times the attack power with their bronze-level sword skills, comparable to the weakest king beasts. However, they were far inferior in terms of speed and defense. Moreover, this king beast was not the weakest, its attack power astonishingly reaching the force of 1,000 elephants. Boom! With a single slap, the king beast sent the two ultimate masters of the Yu family flying. Immediately, their sword lights shattered, and the two ultimate masters were flung away in pieces, their fates unknown. Just as Yu Ling and the other masters were preparing to employ desperate moves, prepared to sacrifice their numbers to kill this king beast, a figure appeared in front of the king beast. It's him. A master from the Yu family recognized Yi Tian. It was Master Yu Ben. Yu Ling also noticed Yi Tian and couldn't help but shout, Yi Tian, you're no match for that king beast, get out. However, Yi Tian remained unmoved. He silently assessed the king beast, examining its innate traits. Type: Giant Spirit War Beast Bloodline Talent. Extraordinary. This was a king beast without any special talents. Its bloodline talent was decent, reaching the extraordinary level. If it continued to grow, it could reach the pinnacle of king beasts. If it truly reached that pinnacle, even without any talents, it could crush Yi Tian with a single slap. However, it was far from that peak, possessing only the force of 1,000 elephants, having recently entered the rank of king beasts. Yi Tian drew his sword and slashed, his dazzling blade light tearing through the air. His pseudo-mystic level strength talent combined with his bronze-level blade skill reached the pinnacle of a single strike. The giant spirit war beast tried to catch Yi Tian's blade light with its hand but got its arm severed by the attack, screaming in agony. HMPH, a trashy king beast without even a defense talent. You're even worse than that blackback war bear. Yi Tian scoffed. With a flicker of his form, he slashed again. This strike landed on the giant spirit war beast's neck. The blade light effortlessly slit open its neck, nearly beheading it. Boom! The giant spirit war beast fell, its life force gradually fading. Yi Tian had killed a king beast just like that. Not far away, the people of the Yu family stood there, faces stiff, disbelieving. freewebnovel.com. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 116, High-Tier Soul Transfer Talent. Yi Tian killed a king beast. Yu Ling simply couldn't believe that Yi Tian had done this. She had known Yi Tian for quite some time, since back when he was comparatively weaker. He had even saved her life once. At that time, Yi Tian's cultivation and abilities were far inferior to hers. She had even considered Yi Tian to be someone with high talent and was preparing to take him under her wing. How ridiculous that seemed now. Yi Tian's talent is extraordinary. He possesses formidable gifts in blade skills, strength, and speed. He has indeed become an invincible grandmaster. That's right, in Yu Ling's eyes, Yi Tian had undoubtedly earned the title of invincible grandmaster. To kill a king beast with 2 blade strikes, if that wasn't the mark of an invincible grandmaster, what was? At that moment, Yu Ling finally understood how Yi Tian had managed to resolve the beast-tide crisis at Linhai base. He was an invincible grandmaster. Even if an ordinary king beast attacked Linhai base, it would be no match for Yi Tian. As long as Yi Tian didn't encounter a king beast that was too powerful, he was virtually invincible. Now that his strength was revealed, Yi Tian stopped hiding it and began to help the Yu family slay the top-tier ferocious beasts within the array. At that moment, Yu Ling approached him, a look of astonishment in her eyes. Yi Tian, I had always thought your strength was at most comparable to a powerful grandmaster, perhaps even less than the pinnacle of grandmasters. I never expected that you could actually match up to the level of a king, even able to kill an ordinary king beast. Talented, can't help it. Yi Tian was not modest at all. Yes, indeed, talent is bestowed by the heavens. Yu Ling strongly agreed with Yi Tian's words, but deep inside she felt a little desolate. Compared to Yi Tian, she was much weaker and far more ordinary. In the past, she thought she was on the same level as Yi Tian. While he was better at fighting, she had the support of the Yu family and had acquired several opportunities, potentially aiming for the level of a king. She had believed her future could be even brighter than Yi Tian's. Now, thinking about it, she had greatly overestimated herself. The goals she had been striving for were, in Yi Tian's eyes, insignificant figures that could be easily defeated. The gap between them was as vast as heaven and earth. That must be Yi Tian's goal. Yu Ling looked up, focusing on the high ground where Yun Mengli was battling an invincible king beast. Go support other areas. Yi Tian patted Yu Ling's shoulder and said. Okay. Yu Ling snapped back to reality and nodded. Whoosh, whoosh. The two moved swiftly, entering other areas to assist other martial artists in slaying ferocious beasts. High up in the sky, the battle between Yun Mengli and the invincible king beast was nearing its end. At that moment, both Yun Mengli and the invincible king beast were injured, but Yun Mengli's expression remained calm, while the invincible king beast seemed increasingly anxious. Retreat, and I can spare your life, otherwise, you will die today. Yun Mengli threatened. How could the invincible king beast admit defeat? Especially now, when it was evenly matched with Yun Mengli, there was no way it would surrender. Suddenly, Yun Mengli took out something, and the invincible king beast's expression changed instantly. It was a bow, a golden longbow, engraved with mysterious patterns, emanating unparalleled dignity. The invincible king beast didn't recognize this bow but felt a deadly threat from it. Normally, if it encountered such an opponent, it would surely flee. But it dared not run away. If it did, the person who controlled it would not let it go. Roar! The invincible king beast went mad, its whole body's blood and chi rolling. It activated its own bloodline power, and its aura surged abruptly. It was going all out. Damn it, beasts are all crazy. Yun Mengli was furious. Fuming with anger, Yun Mengli had no choice but to resort to using this bow. The weapon was a mid-grade divine armament, a peak-level weapon among magical weapons. Divine armaments were categorized into low-grade, mid-grade, and high-grade, and it was said that even above these were the supreme divine armaments. Yet, even wielding a low-grade divine armament would strain Yun Mengli's cultivation level. If he activated this golden longbow, he would be left weakened for several days. Unless absolutely necessary, he didn't want to utilize the golden longbow. But since the invincible Beast King chose to fight to the death rather than retreat, Yun Mengli had no choice but to risk the after effects and employ the mid-grade divine bow to kill it. Die! Yun Mengli channeled all of his magical power, vitality, and a portion of his spiritual essence into the longbow, forcefully activating it. A golden arrow shot out, as if piercing through space itself. Regardless of how fast and agile the Beast King was, it couldn't dodge the golden arrow. With a plop, the golden arrow pierced through the forehead of the Beast King, shattering its brain completely. Even for an invincible Beast King, a penetrated brain meant irrefutable death. The body of the Beast King plummeted to the ground. Though Yun Mengli wanted to collect the body of the Beast King, he was too weak even to maintain flight. Reluctantly, he flew back to the magical sea base to recuperate. Boom! The corpse of the golden ape, the Beast King, crashed to the ground, drawing the attention of countless people and ferocious beasts. Was the invincible beast actually killed? Yi Tian looked at the body of the fallen beast and was immediately shocked. Yun Mengli, another figure of invincible king level, had unexpectedly slain an invincible beast, catching Yi Tian off guard. But this was good news. Ha ha ha, our clan's ancestor, Yun Mengli, has slain the invincible Beast King. He has sent a message, After a short rest, he'll return to exterminate more king beasts. An excited warrior from the Yun clan announced. The morale of all the warriors surged, their fighting strength significantly increasing. With the loss of their invincible beast king, the ferocious beasts began to crumble. Half an hour later, Yun Mengli flew out from the base, rejoining the battlefield. One after another, king beasts met their end at his hands. The remaining beasts fled in utter disarray, pursued relentlessly by the warriors for 30,000 miles before the slaughter ceased. What followed was the mopping up operation on the battlefield. Unknown to everyone, Yi Tian had covertly approached the corpse of the invincible beast king. When he was about 1,000 meters away, his talent for duplication activated, assessing the talents of the golden spirit ape. Species: Golden spirit ape. Bloodline talent: Extraordinary. Defensive talent: Basic. Strength talent: Basic. Speed talent: Basic. Soul transfer talent: High. Soul transfer talent: Yi Tian had never encountered a soul transfer talent before, sparking his curiosity and interest. Duplicate. Yi Tian secretly copied this particular talent. He would understand its function after later assimilation. As for the other talents, he didn't bother copying them, they were too ordinary. This golden spirit ape isn't particularly outstanding. It likely reached the pinnacle of king beasts in terms of cultivation, but without even one high-level attack talent, it's on the weaker side among the invincible beast kings, Yi Tian assessed. Soon after, he too joined the cleanup operations on the battlefield. 3 days later, with the battlefield cleared, Yi Tian returned home. Yu Ling personally brought Yi Yu back as well. freewebnovel.com. -- For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 117, The Circle of Kings. Chapter 117, The Circle of Kings. Nighttime. Yi Tian finally had a moment to himself and remembered the high-level soul transfer talent he had copied. Merge. Yi Tian commanded mentally. Boom. A terrifying soul metamorphosis began. At that moment, Yi Tian felt as though his soul was being kneaded and transformed by an unknown force. The pain was immense, a kind of agony unlike any physical pain, indescribable in its intensity. Enduring the intense discomfort, Yi Tian clenched his teeth, refraining from making any sound so as not to wake Yi Yu. Minutes passed, and the fusion was complete. Yi Tian had successfully merged the high-level soul transfer talent. Subconsciously, he checked his talent status and immediately saw the newly merged talent. Soul transfer talent, high level. Could soul transfer allow me to move my soul to another place or object? Yi Tian speculated. Shortly thereafter, his consciousness gradually immersed itself into the sea of soul, finding numerous talent markings hidden deep within. Quickly, he located the light representing the soul transfer talent. His consciousness merged with it and gathered some information. This method was something he had recently learned, and it was the quickest way to understand his talents without the need for trial and error. The soul transfer talent is actually this. Yi Tian exclaimed in disbelief. This ability was too perverse, too bizarre. The so-called soul transfer involved moving his soul into another creature's body, wiping away the host soul, and taking over their body. What was even more shocking was that he could use the host body to activate various talents. Because talent markings resided in the soul, albeit possibly at a lower level than in the original body. If the host body was killed, his soul would transfer back, albeit damaged and requiring time to heal. Of course, the soul transfer talent had its limitations. Once activated, he could only occupy the host body for 1 month, and the cooldown period was a year. This was the capability of the high-level soul transfer talent. If it were top-level, maybe the occupancy and cooldown times could be even more favorable. Given that Yi Tian only had the high-level soul transfer talent, there was little hope of elevating it to the top level, as this talent was indeed rare. So, the golden spirit giant ape didn't die. No, it shouldn't be the golden spirit giant ape. The ape was just the body occupied by someone using the high-level soul transfer talent. No wonder it didn't flee and instead fought Yun Mengli to the death, Yi Tian realized fully. Being able to occupy a body for a month, with a 1-year cooldown, this talent should be put to good use, Yi Tian schemed quietly. Over the next few days, the higher-ups of the Demon Sea base began distributing rewards. Every significant contributor, whether grand martial artists, grand masters, or king level, received substantial rewards. The various scenes from the battlefield were also recorded by the Demon Sea base's projection equipment, and then rewards like beast meat, beast blood, and other items were distributed based on merit. As for the warriors who had died in battle, their rewards were doubled, and no one had any objections. Yi Tian naturally garnered many rewards, including the king beast he had slain, which was delivered to his villa. However, the king beast's corpse was too large, he had to sell it, in exchange for quite a sum of money. What Yi Tian didn't know was that the powerful king-level beings of the Demon Sea base had recently become busy. They rushed to the other two major bases to help them repel the beast tide. Yun Mengli even collaborated with the invincible king levels of other bases and killed two more invincible king-level beasts. The crisis of the three major bases was averted, and the beast tide retreated. On that day, Yi Tian was cultivating at home when Lord Yu Ling, the esteemed ancestor of the Yu family, paid him a personal visit. Master Yu Ling, Yi Tian greeted the figure of king-level power with utmost respect. Yi Tian, my young friend, there's no need for formalities. You managed to slay a king beast. Although you're not at the king level yourself, your strength is enough to consider us equals. If you don't mind, you can call me Big Brother Yu, Lord Yu Ling said cheerfully. How could he not be happy? Yi Tian's talents would inevitably elevate him to an invincible king-level warrior in the future. Given that the Yu family already had a favorable relationship with Yi Tian, whom they would need to rely on later, it was natural for Lord Yu Ling to be keen on forming a closer bond. Any sense of king-level arrogance had no place here. So Big Brother Yu, what brings you to me? This visit isn't just to make my acquaintance, is it? Yi Tian curiously asked. I came to invite you to a king-level meeting. Lord Yu Ling announced. A king-level meeting? An invitation for me? Yi Tian was surprised. Yes, Lord Yu Ling said earnestly. Indeed, the invitation is for you, and it's not just from me but from the high-ranking king-level individuals of the Demon Sea base. You killed a king beast with 2 strikes, your strength has already received their approval, even King Mengli has recognized you. When is the meeting? Yi Tian was interested in joining the circle of king-level warriors, as this would give him access to a wealth of secretive information, perhaps even about super bases. Being isolated would never allow him to rapidly improve his strength. Tomorrow at 10 in the morning on the 10th floor of the Yun family's tower. Here's your invitation, keep it safe. Lord Yu Ling handed over the invitation to Yi Tian, exchanged a few more words, and then took his leave. The circle of king-level warriors, I didn't expect to enter it so soon, Yi Tian mused, holding the invitation and smiling faintly. He spent the night cultivating. The next day, Yi Tian arrived on time at the Yun family's residence. There, he saw a familiar face, Yun Feng. Yun Feng had also reached the Grandmaster level. With his top-tier wind blade talent of 850, he was undoubtedly one of the strongest among Grandmasters, not to mention his speed was also impressive. He had the potential to become an invincible Grandmaster, although that would require decades of time. Yi Tian glanced at Yun Feng briefly before heading into the Yun Tower, led by a servant. The tower was a place only king-level warriors were permitted to enter. Yun Feng noticed Yi Tian. After he entered the tower, Yun Feng grabbed the servant and asked, "Who was that just now? He looks like a Grandmaster. How could he enter the Yun Tower?" Noticing that it was Yun Feng, the rising star of the family, the servant quickly replied with deference, "Young Master Yun Feng, that was the invincible Grandmaster Yi Tian." It's him. Yun Feng was astonished. News of Yi Tian slaying a king beast had already spread throughout the entire Demon Sea base, so he was well aware of it. However, there was no fear in his eyes, only the sparking flames of combativeness. He was confident that once he reached the peak of Grandmastery, he too could slay a king beast. I must continue cultivating. I need to become even stronger, Yun Feng thought to himself. Upon entering the Yun Tower, Yi Tian arrived on the 10th floor. As he stepped into the Grand Hall, numerous eyes swept over him. The warriors he saw in the hall were clearly of king-level strength. He was the only Grandmaster there, making him somewhat of an outlier. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. Chapter 118, a 3-star spatial rift. Chapter 118, a 3-star spatial rift. Greetings, everyone. Yi Tian greeted the crowd with a closed-fist salute. Above him, Yun Mengli glanced at Yi Tian and nodded slightly, saying, "Young brother Yi, please take a seat wherever you like." Yi Tian nodded, choosing a seat toward the back, and sat down. The other king-level figures present didn't pay much attention to Yi Tian. After all, Yi Tian was just a Grandmaster-level warrior. Although he possessed the combat power of a king-level warrior, he was merely comparable to not-so-powerful king-level figures. Yi Tian wasn't in the same league as the truly strong king-level warriors. Before Yi Tian had truly matured, they wouldn't pay him much attention. One king-level warrior after another arrived, and soon the hall was filled with almost 60 king-level figures. Yi Tian sat silently but observed the talents of those present in secret. Most have extraordinary cultivation talents, only a few like Lord Yuling have top-tier cultivation talents. They must have become king-level warriors by chance. As for those with Morning Star level cultivation talents, there's not a single one. Yi Tian wasn't surprised by this. If they did have Morning Star level cultivation talents, they might have already easily broken through the king level bottleneck and advanced to the next stage. After another half hour, the number of king level warriors had risen to 73. One could say that almost all the king level warriors from the Demon Sea base had arrived. Originally, there should have been more king level warriors at the Demon Sea base, but the recent great battle had claimed many of them. So there were only 73 left, 72 if Yi Tian wasn't counted. Once everyone had assembled, Yun Mengli began, "Everyone, the purpose of this meeting is to discuss the spatial rift 30,000 miles away. Although our 3 major bases have repelled the beast tide and killed 3 invincible king beasts, these losses are inconsequential to the beasts. Their foundation is far too strong. Humans have only been around for about 100 years since the origin energy appeared, so naturally, we can't compare with the beasts. If it weren't for the world's suppression, the truly terrifying existence of these beasts would have descended upon Earth and wiped us out long ago." The king-level figures below nodded, agreeing with Yun Mengli's statement. Humanity was indeed too weak. The more they understood the beasts, the more they were shocked by their strength. The gap between the two sides was far too great. Yun Mengli continued, "If we don't deal with this spatial rift, more invincible king beasts will continue to come, and the beast tide will erupt again. I've discussed this with the other 2 major bases. All 3 of us will join forces to seal the spatial rift." "Is it possible to seal the spatial rift?" a king-level warrior asked skeptically. "Yes," Yun Mengli affirmed. "The super base has developed a top-tier array that can seal the void and suppress the spatial rift. However, it can only suppress 3-star spatial rifts or below. It's powerless against anything above 3 stars. The spatial rift 60,000 miles away was explored and found to be only a 3-star rift. It can bring in at most a few invincible king beasts, otherwise, our 3 bases won't be able to withstand the beast tide. The super base actually developed an array that can suppress a 3-star rift." Many king-level warriors were shocked beyond belief. Yi Tian was somewhat bewildered and didn't speak, but he quickly learned about the classifications of spatial rifts from the conversations among other king-level warriors. Yi Tian felt a bit perplexed as he listened but quickly gleaned information about the classification of spatial rifts from the conversations among other king-level experts. It turned out that spatial rifts were categorized based on their size, the level of spatial pressure they exerted, and the tier of powerhouses that could pass through them. The spatial rift they had encountered last time was of 0-star level, merely connecting to some secret realm and certainly not to the world of ferocious beasts. Above that were 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star spatial rifts. As for 4-star and higher, those were not even something that king-level experts could fathom, only super bases could handle such rifts. 100 years ago, when spatial rifts first appeared, they were mostly of 1-star level. Otherwise, humanity would have been wiped out long ago. Moreover, spatial rifts would gradually upgrade over time, even growing into 2-star, 3-star, and possibly 4-star rifts. Most of the high-level spatial rifts had evolved slowly over time. If the spatial rift 60,000 miles away were to gradually grow into a 4-star rift, then a great number of invincible king beasts, and even beings above that level, would emerge. By that time, the Demon Sea base would be easily overrun and wiped off the Earth. Therefore, the spatial rift must be sealed. King Mengli, setting up a top-level array isn't easy, especially one that can suppress a 3-star spatial rift. Even our top-level array master at Demon Sea base can't achieve that, right? A king-level expert questioned. True, Yun Mengli acknowledged. Even if we have the design and materials, our top array master at Demon Sea base won't be able to set it up. However, among the 3 major bases, we have 4 top-level array masters, 50 high-tier array masters, and hundreds of intermediate and thousands of junior array masters. Together, they can set up such a top-level array. So, all the array masters will work together, each contributing what they can. That indeed provides hope for successfully setting up a top-level array. The king-level experts nodded in agreement. Suddenly, Yun Mengli spoke solemnly, "However, the ferocious beasts won't let us set up the array easily. They will surely attack us. Our task is to hold off the beasts so that the array masters can focus on their work. We will certainly drive the ferocious beasts back through the spatial rift, giving them no chance to disrupt the setting up of the array, the king-level experts concurred. Good, Yun Mengli nodded approvingly. In 3 days, all the materials for setting up the top-level array will be gathered. We will immediately head to the spatial rift. Any delay could lead to complications. If the beasts send 3 more invincible king beasts, we'll be in trouble. The invincible king beast this time wasn't that strong and was likely just a probe. The next one could be an extraordinarily formidable invincible king beast, something I can't handle. When the subject of extraordinarily formidable invincible king beasts came up, a flicker of alarm passed through Yun Mengli's eyes, something that Yi Tian and several other king-level experts noticed. Clearly, Yun Mengli had encountered such an invincible king beast before, likely at a super base. The meeting ended, and the king-level experts dispersed. Yi Tian returned to his residence, planning to use the next few days for cultivation. As for his remaining opportunity to duplicate, there was no hurry, he would decide later. In a flash, 3 days passed. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free. 119 Chapter 119, The Convergence of the 3 Major Bases. After going through a battle, my cultivation speed has significantly increased. My physical strength has already reached the level of 16 elephants. Yi Tian tested his strength and expressed his satisfaction. Under normal circumstances, for a grandmaster who had just broken through, raising their strength from 1.5 elephants to 16 elephants would take several years or even a decade. Even for someone with extraordinary talent, it would still take a year to achieve this feat. Yet, Yi Tian had been cultivating at the grandmaster level for less than 2 months. The improvement in his strength could only be described as terrifying. Ding ding, his communicator received a message. Yi Tian glanced at it and knew it was time, as notified by Yun Mengli. This time, Yi Tian would be participating as a king-level combatant, not as an array master. He was merely a mid-level array master, with far less experience compared to others. Since he knew only a few arrays, participating in setting up top-level grand arrays would not be much help. It would be more effective for him to defend against fierce beasts as a king-level combatant. Xiao Shui, let's go together. Yi Tian prepared to take Xiao Shui to the spatial rift. He didn't want to reveal his flying talent, displaying too many abilities could arouse suspicion. As for whether Xiao Shui would be recognized, Yi Tian wasn't concerned. In his view, a creature with a Dawn-class bloodline like a dragon was beyond the reach of king-level beings like Yun Mengli, they would never recognize Xiao Shui. So, there was no need to worry. After all, if he was always afraid of revealing Xiao Shui's identity, wouldn't he be forever afraid to take him out? Both human and beast arrived at the east side of the Demon Sea base. Outside the base, various king-level individuals hovered in the air. At that moment, Yi Tian also emerged, riding on Xiao Shui into the sky. freewebnovel.com. Friend Yi, a figure flew over, it was Lord Yu Ling. Brother Yu, Yi Tian greeted with a clenched fist. Friend Yi, this beast of yours is quite extraordinary. I actually don't recognize it. It somewhat resembles the dragons from legends, could it be a dragon beast? Lord Yuling looked at Xiao Shui, surprised. Hearing Lord Yuling's words, Xiao Shui snorted a few times, clearly dissatisfied. He was a pure-blooded dragon, and being compared to a lower bloodline dragon beast by Lord Yuling upset him. Yi Tian patted Xiao Shui's head to soothe him and then said to Lord Yuling, "You are correct, Xiao Shui is indeed a dragon beast, and quite a powerful one at that." Lord Yuling smiled. "I initially thought you couldn't fly and was prepared to carry you along. Now it seems unnecessary." The two chatted for a while. Suddenly, Yi Tian asked, "Brother Yu, do you know anything about the super base?" Curious about the situation there, he took this opportunity to ask Lord Yuling, who was a king-level being. Hearing the term, super base, Lord Yuling's expression became serious. The super base is very mysterious, said to be deep within China. Our Demon Sea base was actually located along the original East China Sea coast. However, the Earth has grown so much that we are now far from the ocean. The super base has a population much larger than ours, and their strength surpasses us by more than one level. I don't know the specifics as I've never been inside, but I've heard from King Mengli that even his invincible king level strength is not remarkable there. Invincible king level is not remarkable. Yi Tian was shocked and finally understood the horror of the super base. At the same time, he was even more eager for the super base, for only there could he replicate even higher level cultivation talents. Before long, all the king-level combatants had assembled. Yun Mengli waved her hand, "Move out." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. One after another, the king-level individuals broke through the void, heading for the spatial rift, moving much faster than any wind-skimming boat. Although 60,000 miles seemed far, the king-level individuals quickly arrived at the location of the spatial rift. There, they found many fierce beasts and king beasts gathered. However, there were no invincible king beasts present. The fissure in space was teeming with countless ferocious beasts, including many king beasts, although there were no invincible king beasts this time. Yun Mengli didn't rush to clear out these beasts. Instead, he spoke, "Let's wait for people from the other two major bases to arrive before we proceed." About 10 minutes later, king-level warriors and array mages from the other two major bases arrived. Qinghe Major Base, Shenhang Major Base. These were the names of the two other major bases, whose power was not inferior to that of Demon Sea Base, although they had smaller populations. Upon their arrival, two king-level warriors greeted Yun Mengli. From Lord Yuling, Yi Tian learned the identities of these two king-level figures, He Yun from Qinghe Major Base, known as Qing King, and Zhao Shui from Shenhang Major Base, known as Blood King. Both were invincible king-level warriors who had survived since the calamity 100 years ago. "King Mengli, are the materials ready?" Blood King inquired. "Everything is prepared, and we even have surplus materials. There's no need to worry," Yun Mengli assured. "Then let's begin," Qing King announced. Immediately, the array mages scattered and began laying out a top-grade array within a radius of 1,000 li, enclosing the area around the spatial fissure. Other king-level warriors were responsible for guarding these array mages, and Yi Tian was assigned to guard several junior array mages. As for the three invincible king-level warriors, they moved closer to the spatial fissure to hunt down the king beasts. Boom! The battle commenced. The king beasts seemed to know what the humans intended to do, and they launched frenzied attacks. More and more king beasts and top-tier ferocious beasts poured out from the spatial fissure. A brutal fight erupted. "Lord Yi Tian, we are in your hands," a group of about 10 junior array mages respectfully said. Yi Tian nodded lightly and, along with Zhao Shui, continued to guard these junior array mages. Though their role was minor, they were crucial to the grand array and couldn't afford to make mistakes. Roar, 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 top-tier ferocious beasts charged at Yi Tian, who wielded a high-powered blade, continuously slashing and felling beast after beast. Zhao Shui, rather shamelessly, began collecting beast blood while Yi Tian was preoccupied, stowing it away in its storage bag under the pretext of, "waste not, want not." The beasts seemed endless, constantly swarming, and even Yi Tian found the situation challenging. "Yi, a king beast is heading your way. Delay it for a moment, I'll come to assist you after killing this beast," a king-level voice transmitted to him. Yi Tian knew this king-level individual as one of the stronger king-level warriors. Boom, boom, boom. The ground trembled as a giant crocodile, towering at a height of 100 meters, crawled forward, exuding ferociousness. The junior array mages were somewhat trembling, evidently intimidated by the creature. "Stay focused and continue laying out the array," Yi Tian reminded them. The array mages promptly regained their composure and continued their work. Yi Tian also prepared to summon Zhao Shui, who was currently voraciously collecting and devouring beast blood. Zhao Shui had grown quickly and was no longer weaker than him, it could even combat king-level opponents with its various abilities. "Zhao Shui, guard these array mages. I'll go kill that crocodile," Yi Tian mentally communicated with Zhao Shui. Chapter 120. The top-tier array is complete, suppressing the spatial rift. Chapter 120. The top-tier array is complete, suppressing the spatial rift. freewebnovel.com. Zhao Shui obeyed Yi Tian's command and flew over, guarding the array masters who were setting up the array. Meanwhile, Yi Tian engaged in combat with a giant crocodile. Type: Colossal Toothed Dragon Crocodile Bloodline Talent, Extraordinary Level. Just because it has the word dragon in its name, doesn't mean it has a significant dragon bloodline. Unfortunately, its talents are quite subpar, it doesn't even have a single special talent. Yi Tian had little regard for this colossal toothed dragon crocodile, although it was by no means weak. Boom! After one collision, Yi Tian roughly assessed the creature's strength. About 3,000 elephants of force, Yi Tian judged. However, compared to his own strength, it was significantly weaker. At that moment, Yi Tian's physical strength was at 16 elephants of force. After amplifications from 2x Yuan power, 6x Qing wind slash, and 30x pseudo-mystic level strength talent, his attack power reached an astounding 5,760 elephants of force. The meager 3,000 units from the colossal toothed dragon crocodile paled in comparison. Boom, boom, boom. After several more collisions, the colossal toothed dragon crocodile found itself continuously retreating, accumulating more and more wounds. 1 minute later, Yi Tian successfully slew the colossal toothed dragon crocodile. Right after Yi Tian had killed it, a king-level figure appeared beside him. Yi, my young friend, you've actually slain the colossal toothed dragon crocodile king beast. This was the man who had sent Yi Tian a message earlier. He had merely hoped that Yi Tian would stall the creature. He had not expected Yi Tian to kill it. When the colossal toothed dragon crocodile king beast broke through his blockade, he was aware of its power. Though weaker than him, it wasn't by much. It'd have taken me some effort to kill it. Your strength is comparable to mine, he reasoned. Pure luck, Yi Tian modestly replied. Strength is never a matter of luck. The king-level figure shook his head. Enough talk, I need to continue holding back the beasts on the other side. Yi Tian continued to guard his own sector. Xiao Shui hurried over to collect the creature's blood. Because of its diluted dragon bloodline, the blood was more than 10 times as beneficial for Xiao Shui compared to ordinary king beasts. We hit the jackpot, Xiao Shui excitedly muttered while collecting the blood. This time, all the collected blood was from high-level beasts, including king-level beasts. He even shamelessly harvested the kills of others. The king-level figures present knew Xiao Shui was Yi Tian's pet and chose not to comment. Time passed slowly. Yi Tian had lost track of how many beasts he had killed. As he continued to slay them, a voice suddenly resonated throughout the entire 1,000-mile area. The top-tier array is complete. Array masters, withdraw from the array. All king-level individuals, drive the beasts back into the spatial rift. This message echoed thrice, announcements from 3 invincible king-level figures. The top-tier array is complete. Yi Tian breathed a sigh of relief. This meant that the plan of the 3 major bases had been completed, and they could finally suppress this spatial rift. Whoosh, 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 one after another, king-level figures slaughtered their way towards the spatial rift. At the same time, the top-tier array slowly activated. An unseen array force immobilized this stretch of void, and restrained the beasts within it. Beasts below the high-level rank lost almost all their fighting power, while the strength of high-level beasts was reduced by 80%, and king beasts weakened even more. Under these conditions, it was almost like a massacre. No matter how many beasts emerged, they were fated to be slain. Yi Tian and Xiao Shui killed their way through, gradually nearing the spatial rift. At that moment, Yi Tian suddenly felt elated. His copying talent activated, probing around him. Just then, the talents of a king-level individual appeared on his retina. Human, Ling Zhenbei bloodline talent, extraordinary swordsmanship talent, high-tier, and high-tier swordsmanship talent. Yi Tian immediately wanted to copy this high-tier swordsmanship talent. He had already copied 2 high-tier swordsmanship talents. Copying one more would allow him to fuse them into a top-tier swordsmanship talent. Regrettably, he hadn't encountered any other high-tier swordsmanship talents while at the Demon Sea base, but now he had stumbled upon one in this king-level individual. This king-level person wasn't from the Demon Sea base but was a strong individual from one of the other 2 major bases. Previously, the people from the 3 major bases were separated by over 1,000 meters, so he couldn't inspect their talents. If not for this moment when his range had just managed to cover the other person, he would have missed out completely. I still have one more chance to copy. Copy it. Without any hesitation, Yi Tian copied the other person's high-tier swordsmanship talent. After the successful copy, he continued killing the ferocious beasts. It seemed as if the spatial fissure knew that further resistance was futile. It ceased to spawn more ferocious beasts. Many of the beasts began to slowly retreat to the other side of the fissure. Soon, a large number of king-level individuals gathered around the spatial fissure, finishing off the last of the beasts. Just as they were about to exterminate the remaining beasts, a sudden change occurred. An unimaginable, terrifying aura emanated from the other side of the spatial fissure. Even the king-level individuals felt their powers reduced to a mere fraction under this pressure. Only the 3 supreme king-level individuals could barely resist this aura. What is that? Through the spatial fissure, Yi Tian saw a pair of golden eyes. Those eyes were like those of a supreme deity, full of indomitable authority yet also filled with cold indifference. HMPH, no matter how strong you are, you still can't step into our world. Yun Mengli coldly shouted, HMPH. A faint voice echoed in the void. It was the voice of that supreme being on the other side of the spatial fissure. This beast could talk. That was the subconscious reaction of all the king-level individuals. Soon, those golden eyes disappeared, and everyone sighed in relief. Facing such a terrifying entity, no one was fearless. What level is that beast at? It was even able to send its aura through the spatial fissure to our Earth. Should be above king level, right? A king-level individual exclaimed in dread. It's not just above king level, it's at least 2 major realms higher. Yun Mengli stated gravely, beyond 2 major realms, it was hard for anyone to even imagine what level of existence that was, as it was too far beyond their reach. The top-tier array had been set up, but the spatial fissure had not completely disappeared. It was only shrinking. The fissure, initially hundreds of meters in height and length, eventually shrank to about 20 meters before ceasing its contraction. The top-tier array can only suppress the spatial fissure, not make it completely disappear. But this fissure should now be at a 1-star level, and at most, it will bring some high-level beasts, so there's nothing to fear. But still, we need to deploy some king-level individuals and array mages to guard here and stabilize the top-tier array. Who is willing to stay? Yun Mengli inquired. Yi Tian was the first to step forward, saying, King Mengli, I am willing to guard here for a while. I not only possess king-level combat capabilities but am also a mid-level array mage, so I should be somewhat useful. Yun Mengli looked deeply at him and nodded approvingly, very well, consider yourself one. The other king-level individuals thought Yi Tian was just responsible, not knowing that he had his own plans and intentions. Yi Tian glanced casually at the spatial fissure, the corner of his mouth lifting in a subtle smile. For announcements or to report mistakes, please join my Discord, web links. There will be advanced chapters posted there for free.